Hello everyone. Hi. Welcome to the stream. We're gonna do our makeup on stream today, and I'm gonna talk through all the steps of it, like a proper walkthrough, I guess. So I'll explain what I'm doing for every step. We're gonna go through the whole process here, at least how I do it. Yeah, I'm self-taught. I'm not a professional. I don't know how to do every single step perfectly. There's some parts I really struggle on still. Been watching for a while, you know that I have done my makeup a lot, but I've only started about a year ago. I can even go check real quick on my phone, but I assume the first time I did eyeshadow was gonna be around about like August of last year. Would have been the first time I attempted it by myself. Is that right? Yes, it is right. Look at that. August 20th, last year was really the first time that I tried doing makeup for myself. Before that point, I was doing some makeup, like I was, phoning it in with, well, not phoning it in, I was trying very hard. I was doing eyeliner and brows only. Eyeliner, brows, and mascara only. Pretty much nothing else. Maybe a lip gloss, if I owned a lip gloss. And if it ran out, I didn't bother getting a new one until someone gave me one. So, yeah, it was about a year ago, a year that I started practicing to do makeup, like actually practicing. And I started on stream, for anyone that's been watching the stream, obviously. That was when I started practicing on stream and using the stream as motivation. I wouldn't say I got good at it until, it took me, I want to say, 2 to 3 months to get, like, good at it. I had a couple of looks that I found out relatively early, and I just stuck to those looks, and I just repeated them over and over. Once I found 1 or 2 looks that I could do consistently, I just repeated those looks over and over and over. Eventually, I was able to do those pretty consistently, and the way that I kind of evolved from there was I took the things that I was doing in just one color and I just kind of replaced it with another color. That was the first change I started to make. So initially I was doing a lot of makeup looks that were, they were oranges and browns and reds, kind of like a burnt orange. It's like, especially for eyeshadow, obviously. But let's say like a kind of a orangey eyeshadow that gradually kind of darkens and gets redder and darker. Like it's getting burnt like toast. And what I eventually started doing was just replacing the orange with a new color. So trying pink, trying green. I tried at one point purples, whatever I had. The first palette that I used for eyeshadow was actually this palette. I'm going to show you this. I don't believe this is still sold. I could be wrong. It's Jaclyn Hill palette, but it's by Morphe, okay? Morphe is the brand, and I actually very recently got a second palette from Morphe, which I will show you, and it's this one, same brand, Morphe again. Pretty much, you can see when you hold them, they're like same, right? The nice thing about these palettes, and this palette in particular, is the variety. They have a lot of color variety. They have a lot of style variety. You can see in this one here, it's got a lot of blues, some greens even, yellow. It's got some neutral tones for your skin. It's got black, it's got pinks, it's got red. So this is a good palette. And the nice thing about this palette was it was really, really cheap. I think it was $40 for this palette. Yeah, $40, and that's Canadian, so it might even be like 30 or so American. Really, really affordable. I would recommend, especially if you want to try eyeshadow, I would really recommend the Morphe palettes. If you go to Sephora, you can find them. I would recommend them. I haven't felt confident. I've been doing makeup for a year. I haven't really felt confident giving a recommendation for products because I tell people like I don't really know what products I'm using yet. This is the first time I think I actually genuinely am making like a recommendation for a product. So for whatever that's worth, I'm genuinely recommending this palette, okay? It's affordable. It has a ton of variety. It has stuff for most skin tones, I would say. It has a very, very pale, sorry for hitting the mic. It has a very, very pale cream color here for someone like me that's white as hell. But it has darker bronze as well if you have darker skin tones. It has olive colors if you have more olive skin tones. It may not have the perfect skin tone for you. It might not have exactly what you need. And if that's the case, you know, you may have to look for another palette, but I really recommend this. It has some glitters if you want to have some glitters on your eye, which is nice too, some highlights. These you can't really see on the camera, but these are shiny, so they're highlights, right? They shine. It has some nice shiny bronzes and a gold. It has a nice black and some darker colors too. So it's a good palette, and so I'm going to be using for my makeup when I do my eyeshadow today. So I really recommend that. The next thing that obviously you need, and we're going to use, is I have my foundation. It's a liquid foundation. So you might want to get a foundation. In my opinion, foundation is kind of what you should really learn first because it is the base coat that goes under everything else. However, I will say, if you have kind of nice texture to your skin, for example, with me, I have soft freckles and I have nice red cheeks, especially when I get like worked up. My cheeks get like nice and red and rosy, sort of like what a blush would do, obviously. And I have pretty nice texture to my skin. So foundation is not super necessary if you have nice skin. If you don't have nice skin, like obviously you probably already know about foundation, to be honest. If you have like, if you struggle with any sort of like blemishes or something, you probably have already started looking into foundation. Makeup stream, it is a makeup stream. It is a makeup guide. Yeah, we're gonna do a walkthrough. But foundation is very useful. Essentially, what you're doing when you put foundation on is you are covering your skin in a ideally smooth, consistent kind of tone that covers up blemishes, covers up discoloration, just gives like a nice consistent finish to your face, which you then paint on top of with colors on your eyes, on your cheeks with blush, on your cheekbones with a highlighter, around here maybe with some contour, on your nose with contour, with highlighter, with concealer to brighten places. So yeah, you basically use your foundation and then paint on top of it and add features in. What foundation do I use? I use the House Labs, I believe it's called. House Labs, I believe this is Lady Gaga's brand. The reason I use this brand is because I am really light toned. It's hard. When you look for makeup, generally speaking, the makeup ranges go from, it's the same with clothes. Generally speaking, when you look for, it's the same with clothes or anything, it's the same with shoes. Stores will carry the median, like oh god, I learned this in stats class. They're gonna be so disappointed in me. And I got a 90 in that too. I got above 90 in my class. The quartiles? Is that it? Yeah, but they tend to, carry, maybe it's standard distribution. Oh god, doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Yeah, they tend to carry skin tones in their foundation and concealer and stuff for light, but not too light, and dark, but not too dark. So it can be a little hard if you're someone who has very dark skin or if you're someone who has very light skin, it can be, sorry, weird background noise. It can be a little bit hard to find if you're outside of that range. So this one is really pale, and it's cool toned. I have cool toned skin, so this is the lightest one I could find, basically. Whenever I look for foundation, unfortunately, I basically always have to buy the lightest shade available. So that's why I went with this one. That is the only reason. I did not buy this because I thought the product was like incredible. I don't really know how to determine what makes one foundation better than another, if I'm being honest. How do you know if your skin tone is warm or cool? The easiest, most consistent way to do it, if you don't know, is go to a Sephora and ask someone at a Sephora, hello, can you please find me a foundation that matches my skin tone, and can you tell me if my skin tone is warm or cool? Because they are trained to know that. So that's the easiest way. There are other ways you can know by looking at your veins under your skin and checking to see the color underneath your skin. But the easiest, most consistent way to definitely know for sure is go ask a Sephora worker. So you just go to Sephora or whatever makeup store, you know, go to a drugstore or whatever, and just say, hello, I don't know what my skin tone is. Can you find me a foundation that matches? And what they'll probably do is they'll probably take you around and grab you 3 or 4 even different foundations. They'll put it on your skin, they'll rub it into your skin, and they'll go like, this one works, this one doesn't work, this one doesn't work. And they'll put a bunch. And if you just watch, you know, you'll watch them and you'll go, oh, okay. You'll just look at your skin, think about it, like, is this one blending? Is it covering, like, is it actually covering my skin? Or is it like very clearly a discoloration? That's obviously what you're trying to avoid, is a discoloration. Yeah, so that's foundation. So that'll be the first step that I do, is foundation. The other things that I'm going to use today are, I have this product here, which is, I believe it's like this is kind of a brand, Makeup Forever. They're kind of a brand that sells to makeup artists. So kind of the idea of this is that it's a very, very compact. It has a bunch of different like skin tones. It's probably hard to see, but it has like a nice olive color here. It has a nice like brownie color here, and a cream, like a nice lighter cream, some blush tones, some dark colors as well. So this is kind of like an all-in-one palette. So I'm going to use this, but I'm going to be using this for my blush. I have these 2 colors. This one, it's kind of hard to see, is more of like a coral color, maybe like a slightly orangey pink, and this one is a very pale pink color. So because I'm pale, and I don't want to look like I'm wearing clown makeup, I like to keep my blush quite understated. I don't want to have like huge, I know that some people like the crazy blush looks, and they can look good in my opinion, but I tend to keep my blush a little bit understated. I just kind of like to highlight my cheeks and a little bit here and stuff with my blush. That's me personally. So I'm going to use this for my blush. I've experimented with a couple different blushes. I still don't have a favorite. This is what I use right now, but that does not mean that I endorse it. It's just what I use right now. I've tried powder blushes. The few powder blushes I did purchase ended up being a little bit too colorful for me, which ended up with me just feeling like I was like blowing my face up with way too much blush, and I didn't like that, which is why which is why I use this one now. Yeah, so that's my eyeshadow, my foundation, my blush. The other thing I will be using, or well, the next thing I'll be using is contour, which is this. This is my contour. Now, contour essentially is used for shadows. The easy way to think about it is you have concealer. This is my concealer. Contour, this is my contour. The idea is concealer is lighter than your skin tone. Contour is darker than your skin tone. When you look at a human face, right, especially if I get nice and close here, okay, you can see that, like, for example, underneath my nose, there are shadows cast, right? That's where a shadow would be. If my nose has depth to it, which it does here, for example, right, it's darker. You can see a shadow cast. If I had high cheekbones, which I kind of do, but if I like suck my face in, okay, here, this, if you imagine a light hitting it, the light will hit here first, and this will be in shadow. So this will be brighter, and you can already see that. I don't have makeup on, but you can see here on my face is brighter than here, right? Similarly here is brighter than here. So the idea is, by painting your face, by painting shadows and light into your face, we can artificially mimic the effects of light and shadow on our face without an actual light source. For example, if I put a bunch of contour under here, it's going to make it look like my lower lip hangs further out, because this will be way darker. So it's going to give the effect that my lower lip is actually more forward. My jaw is, does that make sense? I think so. I think that makes sense. For example, if I were to brighten my eyes with concealer, and I was just to cover all of my eyes would look less deep set because of the fact that my eyes are in here, right? So the shadow casted here naturally. But if I brighten it, they're not going to look like that, right? They're going to look like they're more forward. And what I do with what you do with your nose, I guess, right? If I draw lines and shadows into my nose may look like this right now, okay? It's kind of hard to show exactly. But my nose looks like this right now, and I draw in artificial shadows. It's gonna make it look like the bridge of my nose is either A, wider, if I draw the shadows wide, or thinner, if I draw the shadows thinner. And I conceal, and I put like the concealer to brighten, and it basically just the inverse of that. So these look more in shadow, and this looks less in shadow. You put light into shaded areas or shadow onto lit areas to reduce the appearance of contours. You can put shadow on shadows. Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's a good way to word it. So, with contour and with highlighting or concealers or whatever, the idea is you can, like the Reaver Darkness said, a good point. You can either choose to accentuate already existing shadows, or you can choose to minimize the appearance of already existing shadows. So this is important for your face shape, your eyes, your nose, whatever. This is just the shape of your face. For example, I have a relatively angular face. It's not that round, right? It's kind of, you would say, like an oval shaped face, right? My face is like an oval. If I add shadows here, and I add shadows here, and I put a bunch of shadows into my face, what I'm doing is I'm putting angles. I'm making my face more angular by doing that, right? And what that gives the effect of is a narrower face, a sharper face. For in the reverse, if I brighten parts of my face and I highlight a lot of my face, I can actually achieve the complete opposite effect. And I can brighten my face in such a way that it looks rounder. My face actually looks more round. If these weren't in shadow, they would look puffed up or more puffed up, right? So that's the thing you can do with that. So kind of all of this comes together, and what it leads to is when we do our contour, concealer, like full foundation, contour, concealer, eyes, brows, everything, is that we're essentially turning our face into the canvas that we're going to paint on. And the amazing thing with makeup is just the almost limitless potential of it. I've been watching a lot of RuPaul's Drag Race with Kiana. I've been watching RuPaul's Drag Race with her, and I just want to show you, because the thing that's amazing, I know that as trans women, especially for me as a trans woman, when I was very early transition and I was experimenting with makeup for the first time ever, I actually had, and it's probably, you know, some degree of internalized homophobia or something, that's for another day, but I had a lot of fear when I was starting out practicing makeup that I wouldn't look like a woman, that I look like a drag queen, and I was really afraid of that. I didn't want to look like a drag queen, like I was in drag. But I just want to show a couple, in fact, I want to show one queen. She is trans, but this girl, Willow Pill, okay? I'm watching season 14 with Kiana, and she's my favorite character. She's my favorite queen on season 14, okay? And I want to show her in and out of makeup. The thing that's truly amazing when you see drag queens is that when you think of makeup that most people do, right? I think most people do makeup this way. Most people do their makeup to basically look like an elevated, enhanced version of their normal self. But when you look at drag queens, they aren't looking like their normal self. They are using makeup to become an entirely different person. Entirely different. And I think that that's very powerful. And it really shows you, I think it really highlights the power that you have when you master makeup, when you learn how to do it well. The power that you have to transform yourself. Which is very cool, I think. So we'll just look at this one girl. But this is her out of makeup. And this is her in drag. And you can see a few things here, obviously. Now, lighting plays some part, but you can see her eyes look about 20 times bigger with makeup. Her nose, I actually want to show you her nose, actually, because this is amazing. When you see it, you're gonna lose your mind, okay? So, yes, that's what I wanted to talk about, her nose. Her nose is not thin. She does not have a thin nose. She has a wide nose. You can see, you can kind of see it here, but you can really see it here. She has a wide nose, but look at this nose. It looks so thin, it looks so sharp. It doesn't look like, it looks like she's had a nose job between these two images. And I think that that's really amazing, actually. Now, her lips are very nice, so she hasn't really accentuated her lips too much. It's Photoshop. I would say you're underestimating how good these queens are with makeup. Willow Pill is someone I've seen in video, in drag, on stage. It's not the same, okay? I'm telling you right now. Now, I screen capped this from the middle of an episode. You can really see her makeup here on her nose. And just how much she's shrinking it. Her actual nose bridge is over here. But she's drawn it here. It's over here, but she's drawn it here. It's absurd. Anyway, all of that to say, you can do a lot with makeup. And you can really, really change your face completely. Most people, I think, are not really here for that. Most people, when they want to do makeup, they don't want to look like a different person. They want to look like themselves, but prettier, which I think is healthy, right? I think that's fine. I just wanted people to have an idea of the kind of the potential you have when you get good at makeup. You have basically the ability to completely change your face. What kind of eyeliner is a good one that won't run? So there's a couple that I use. I will recommend this one. It's the NYX Epic Ink eyeliner pen. This one's old as fuck. It's so beat. I need to get a new one. You can get this online. It's very affordable. It's a cult favorite. It's very, very, very black, just to be clear, okay? This is, like, I'm just saying right now, before you use this, it's very, very dark. I just want to let you know that in advance. It's super dark. The way that I'm going to be doing my eyeliner today is with this pot I have here. Now, I got this a long time ago, and I stopped using it, and I started using it again very recently, and it's basically eyeliner in a jar. It's like a cream, right? It's like a thick cream, basically. And the way that I do this is I'm going to do the pot with a very, very small brush. Very, very, very small, very fine brush. I'm going to apply it to the brush. I'm going to use this. The reason I've started doing this as my eyeliner is for one simple reason, which is that I just find it to be more precise. That's basically it. I just find it to be easier and more precise. However, for the most part, for most of my life, most of the time I've been using makeup, this is the eyeliner that I've been using. It is great. I don't have there's no problems with this. The only reason I'm using the other one is because I thought I can spend 6 times as much and I can be like 5% more precise. But you'll get just fine with this one. I would recommend the next one. It's very good. But it's very black. But eyeliner is very fun. So I think it's fun to play with. I'm also going to be using this. It's a beauty blender. It's just a sponge. I'm going to be using it to apply my foundation. So at some point I'll have to go run this under water, get it big and bloated. Inflation fetish. And yeah. There'll be some other products I use that I didn't talk about in the preamble to the makeup. I'll talk about them as they appear, okay? So yeah, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to run this under water and soak it. So that'll just be 1 minute that I have to leave you, okay? So enjoy the chair stream for 1 second. The idea with the beauty blender is, so I mean it comes in this box, but as you can see I filled it with water. So now it's swollen up and it doesn't fit in anymore. Anyway, the idea with the sponge, I've done my foundation through a few different methods. I've tried applying foundation with a brush. I think brushes work fine. This is my latest thing that I've been using. The reason I like it is a couple. I like the fact that I think it gives a smoother blend in general to brushing. I think with brushing you're kind of at risk of having a little bit of unnaturalness to your foundation because it's just kind of straight lines that you're kind of doing. I like the sponge a little bit more. If you do have a brush, something you can do with a brush is you can tap with the brush instead. Tapping, I think, is just kind of a better motion to get a nicer blend, but I don't think it matters too much. And the first step I'm going to do is technically already done, and I kind of already skipped it, but one thing I would recommend is pre-doing your makeup, I would recommend doing your skincare routine. It doesn't have to be a crazy routine, but I do recommend before, and I'll put this in front of me again, I do recommend before you do your makeup that you cleanse your face with a cleanser and you moisturize your face. Just those 2 steps are fine. You can get a lot more in depth with skincare, but just cleanse it and moisturize it. You just want to make sure you're getting kind of dead skin cells off, kind of opening up your pores a little bit. And moisturizing is very good because having moist, healthy skin is going to help all of the products that we're going to apply just stick a little bit better. Thank you, Chuck Dan, for the bits. Okay, so with the foundation, I'm going to just grab my makeup mirror here. With the foundation, I'm going to go in a few places. Also, I'm going to tie my hair up before I begin. What do you think about makeup setter? I think it's quite important. It depends, though, on the makeup you're using. There are almost certainly products you can use that will probably not need a setting spray. But I think it does help, for sure. And I do notice it. And I have noticed at least one time before on stream where I forgot to use setting spray. And I looked like I had cried my makeup off. Like, I didn't realize what was happening, but after a couple of hours, I just had like tons of makeup just like seeping out into here because I didn't set it. So I would recommend you use it personally. So yeah, the first thing I'm gonna do is just keep my, like I said, my foundation as step 1. And I'm going to put it just a dot here, 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 here. And I'll grab more if I need to. But yeah, so I'm just gonna put a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, and a little bit up here. And these are kind of the 4 areas that I go for. And then I just tap it. I'm gonna turn this off while I do this so you can kind of see better. And I'm just gonna kind of tap it, and also I'm gonna drag it as I tap it outward. So it's gonna go towards the outer part of my face. I'm gonna tap it up here, this. And you can kind of already see here the lightning kind of effect that it has. You can see like here where I don't have it versus here. You can kind of see that it changes your face, right? This is just step 1, obviously. We can already kind of see the effects.
Nice, very nice bulge.
Oh, thank you so
Key
much.
Guerrero, greetings from Brazil, less than 3.
Thank you so much. Greetings from Canada. Okay. And yeah, we're just gonna make sure we get a good even spread. Oh, thank you so much. But we're gonna try to get a good even spread on this. The idea being we don't want it to be patchy in one area and full in another, is the idea, right? We want a smooth kind of finish. Yeah, so we're just gonna finish on our forehead. Don't take that out of context.
Nice, very nice bulge.
Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you. And what I'm also gonna do, which I like to do personally, you can see now that I've kind of done my, you can see that now that I've kind of done my foundation on my face, you can really see the kind of like discoloration around my eyes. Now normally they're not this bad, but I had a really bad night's sleep the last few nights, so they're kind of dark and reddish or something. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to put a little bit of my foundation. I'm just gonna put some on my cheek to kind of get some of the heavier product off. And I'm actually gonna tap my foundation around my eyes as well. So I'm gonna close my eye and I'm gonna kind of whack the foundation into here as well as my face. And this is just to kind of, you can see immediately that it's a lot less discolored looking. And then I'm gonna just get this little end, the pointier end. I'm gonna get a little bit on that. And I'm gonna actually go to my mirror because I need a little bit of help here. But I'm just gonna use that to get underneath the eye here on both sides. And kind of in the corner where the sponge would be a little bit too big to get. So we use the pointier end to kind of get in here. And we just tap again. We're just tapping to make sure it's spread. It's spread out. Alright. And there you go. That's the foundation. So you can see my whole face looks kind of odd with just foundation. It's like I've taken all of the features out of my face. I've taken my freckles away. I've taken the difference in texture on my skin away. I've taken away the different kind of tones that my skin would naturally have. And I've replaced it with this kind of blanket color here. Which means I did my foundation correctly, basically. So I have a nice blanket color on my face. Maybe a couple areas like in here that are a little bit harder to get for me. Have a little bit of discoloration. Oh. That's okay though. And there we go. We did it. So that's foundation done. Now, I would recommend this personally is a setting powder. That's the next step I would recommend, okay? So, I have this powder. This is like there's two different types. There's a loose powder, and I actually forget what the other type is called. But this is not loose powder, as you can see. When you look at it, it's not loose, right? It's sitting in the thing. So, loose powder, as the name may suggest, is just kind of powder that's like floating around, and you can get little jars of it that come off, and they usually come with a little pad that you pad in. Personally, when I get pressed powder, you're correct, pressed powder. Personally, when I use the loose powder, I just get it everywhere. So I use pressed powder, but I do believe loose powder is a little bit better for these steps, but I just use pressed powder. And then I put it on a big ass brush like this, big eye brush, and I just tap it. And the idea for the powder is, because we used a liquid foundation, the idea with the powder is to kind of fill in the gaps and the cracks that would form in the liquid foundation as like our face moves. You kind of want to fill in those gaps. It dries the liquid foundation. By drying it, it makes it obviously less runny. So if I were to put my face onto a pillow without the setting powder, I would take my face off that pillow and a bunch of my foundation would come off onto the pillow. With the powder, it dries, it kind of sticks to your skin, and it does not come off like that. So, very useful, especially if you're planning to do your makeup and then fall asleep, which I don't recommend. But yeah, I'm just going to tap this powder basically all over my face here. Doesn't really matter if I use a little bit too much extra, other than wasting some product. But yeah, if we put on excess product and we just kind of brush it, we're going to take off that excess product anyway. So it's not the end of the world, other than wasting product. Okay, so there we go. That's the base layer done. That's the first step done. So that's step one. Next up, I'm going to do my blush. Now, at this point, the order of your makeup application doesn't super matter. At this point, if I were you and I was doing your makeup, I would choose to do your makeup in the order of what you think you can spare time on and what you don't mind rushing. And the reason for that, of course, is because you don't know what might happen. It might take you 3 or 4 attempts to get a specific part right. Like let's say I decide to do my eyeshadow first and I fuck it up and I just completely ruin it and it's just not good and I have to completely restart my eyeshadow. That's fine if it's step 1. However, let's say I do every other step first and I'm like, you know what, I want to like really do my cheeks nice and my contour nice and my face. I want to really go all out on it. And I spend a full hour just really min-maxing every other aspect of my face, and then I get to my eyes and I don't have a ton of time left because, you know, I have life or whatever, and I get to my eyes and I don't have that much time and I kind of fuck it up, or I'm just not, my heart isn't in it anymore and I'm kind of rushing it, and then I'm like, oh shit, you know, I rushed this part and I kind of wish I had more time for it. So usually when I do the next step of my makeup, that's kind of how I prioritize it, is do I mind if this part is rushed or do I not mind? Since I'm going to be doing an eyeshadow look today, I would mind if my eyeshadow was rushed. However, I have the benefit of doing it on stream. The whole point of the stream is for me to do my makeup, so realistically, I can do my eyeshadow as much as possible. I'm not pressed for time. But Normally I would probably do my eyeshadow next, just in case it doesn't work out quickly. And if I get through it quickly, then I can do the rest of my face. But conversely, if I were to do, let's say, no eyeshadow, and I was just going to do eyeliner and mascara, and I was pretty confident that I could do just the eyeliner, mascara, and brows in about 10 minutes, then I wouldn't really have a need to do them first, because I could just throw them on at the end, right? So I'm gonna do my blush first, and you should see, hopefully. Now blush, I would say, for me personally, of all the makeup stuff that I do, and the way I do my blush is kind of weird. I just grab both of these colors on this brush, because I don't know which one I like more. So personally for me, blush is my, blush and any sort of like cheek makeup and like contour makeup is probably my weakest area in terms of makeup. So this is my weakest area. I kind of know the idea of what I'm going for, but I haven't super figured it out. So probably my weakest thing. But what I'm going to essentially be trying to do with the blush here, because I have an angular face already, I like to kind of round my face out a little bit more. I don't really like to lean into the angularness because I already have enough. So I don't want to create sharp angles with my blush. What I kind of want to do is I kind of want to get some nice like kind of circular motions here. And I kind of want to make my face look a little more rounded and a little more like warm and friendly. So to do that, I'm going to just take the brush on this. And I'm going to do, like I said, these kind of like circular motions on the ball of my cheek here. Just to kind of gently apply it and blend it a little bit. You can also tap and then blend, which I will do. And that should just kind of make my cheeks, you can probably already see it, but just kind of making my cheeks a little bit rosy. I can smile, so I can see exactly where my cheeks are. And this just kind of gives me these like nice rosy cheeks, which makes me look friendly. And I will blend it out a little bit over here. And I will blend it even a little bit up here. One reason I like to do this is because I have a little bit of discoloration around here. And the color that it's discolored in is like this kind of green color. And if you know like color theory, opposite ends of the color spectrum kind of cancel each other out. So green, if you think you know your color wheel, blue, yellow, red, yellow and blue make green, which is directly opposite of, I wish I could do this better, directly opposite of red. So if you have, for example, a spot on your face that's red, and you were to put a product that we would call color corrector that has like a green tint to it over the red, that green tint would neutralize the redness a little bit. So I have some kind of discolorations around like my temples. They're kind of a greenish color. So I like to put a little bit of blush in here, just kind of to neutralize that a little bit. That's really the only goal here. Just kind of neutralize it a little bit. And then yeah, so we went pretty light on the blush here. When I look at my face close up, I can tell that I went very lightly on the blush, which is fine. If I want to add more later, I will add more later. The next thing I'm going to do, just with the last bit of blush on my brush, is I'm going to kind of hit the tip of my nose in kind of an angular fashion. And I'm going to kind of put some blush right on the tip of my nose, like this. I'm going to try to leave a little spot here because I want to highlight this spot and make it like pop later. So I don't want to cover it up with dark colors. I'm going to try and miss it and just kind of do this shape here on the tip of my nose with the blush. And then I'm going to put blush here, and I'm going to kind of connect my nose to my cheeks with this blush. So I'm going to kind of bring it in here and kind of connect these two areas. And that should give me what we would call a like sun-kissed look. So if you were to, for example, get a lot of sunlight on your face because you were out in the sun for some reason and you weren't, wearing sunscreen, or maybe you weren't wearing enough sunscreen, Where would the sun hit your face? Well, it's going to hit your nose first, because your nose is the most outward sticking part of your face. It's going to hit your forehead, your nose, and your cheeks. Any part of your face that sticks forward is going to get this sunlight on it. So I put blush over these areas, over my cheekbones, over my nose, over here. It's gonna make me look like I have a little bit of sunburn on my face, which is kind of cute, kind of a cute look. Not the only look you can do with blush, but it's kind of a cute one. And it looks healthy. That's another nice thing about it. Makes it look like you go outside. So yeah, you can put, that's another trick for you. You can put makeup on to make it look like you actually go outside. So I probably look like I get sunlight now. So that's good. So now I don't just have this completely one-dimensional, one-colored face. I have a little bit of texture, a little bit of color in my cheeks, a little bit of color in my nose, some color up here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to use our contour. And the point of contour, like I said earlier, is to add shadows. So I'm going to grab the brush I use for my contour. I don't believe this is really the brush you should be using for contour. I think what you want for contour, could be wrong, but you want a brush that's like this kind of shape, but like smaller, because you want a kind of angled brush. This is what I use for contour. I don't think this is the best contour brush, just to be clear. But it's what I use. So, what I'm going to do with this now is I'm going to kind of draw in the shape of my nose bridge. And personally, I have experimented with a couple different looks for my nose bridge. I haven't really settled on one. You don't have to settle on one right away. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of just emphasize the natural width of my nose. So I'm not going to thin it. I'm not going to widen it. I'm going to kind of just emphasize the natural bridge that I have. So to do that, I'm going to kind of start at the brow right here. And I'm going to kind of drag this line down my nose like this. Now I did it kind of messy here, but it's going to be fine when I blend it. I'm going to do the same on the other side. So kind of start at the brow and drag this line down the nose. So now we kind of have this is like our nose bridge here. Now what I'm going to do towards the end is I'm going to kind of thin it as I get closer to the end. Now, if I do this wrong, and I might have done it wrong already, but if you do it wrong, you can kind of make yourself look like you have like a droopy nose, which is a common problem I have without nose contour. My nose isn't really droopy, maybe a little, not that much, but bad contour can really, bad contour is probably the one thing that can make your face look really weird. So then what I'm gonna do here is, actually maybe not using my finger, I'm gonna do contour under the nose because a shadow would be there naturally and I want to emphasize it to make my nose look more upturned. I'm gonna blend it with my finger because I'm lazy. And I'm gonna kind of just brush these lines I made kind of outward a bit more. So I'm gonna kind of brush them down the side of my nose a little bit and use my finger for this as well. And you can kind of see the nose bridge that I've created here, right? So I've created a nose bridge. I've thinned my nose by adding these shadows here, or spread out here. My nose looks significantly thinner than before. Yeah. Then I'm going to do a line like here with the contour. And this is just kind of to separate part of the nose off so it doesn't look droopy. Is all we want to avoid. So we don't want the nose to look like it droops, which it might if I had a continuous streak here of brightened area. But by adding this little line right here, we just kind of break that up and make it look less droopy. And then yeah, we have our little nose. And it looks kind of cute, right? I haven't done concealer yet. So I haven't brightened it. All I've done is contoured it. And it looks cute, in my opinion. Next up, I'm going to do concealer to do the opposite. So now the areas that I darkened, I'm going to highlight other areas to help create that shape that I'm going for. I'm going to put a little bit, I can get more later, but I'm going to put just a little bit of concealer on my hand. And I'm going to grab just like this brush, I think. Here. And I'm just going to put some on this brush like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight that little bridge here. So I'm going to put, so basically I'm going to brighten this area in the middle. So the bridge will look brightened. The area to the side of the bridge will look darkened. The button of my nose here is going to look brightened. I have my little button nose here. I can just blend this with my finger. Should be fine. And I'm going to just kind of brush this up into the rest of my forehead so it's blended. I'm just going to kind of blend it upwards. Here, like this. Just want to make sure it looks blended. And I have an even more defined nose bridge now. So my nose bridge looks pretty strong now. I probably could have taken it thinner, but you can kind of see the shape that I'm creating. Yeah, you can see it. So, yeah, I am actually going to take the bridge just a little bit thinner because I think that will look a little bit nicer. So I'm going to thin it a little bit using more contour. And I'm going to make my nose look even thinner than I had it before. You can kind of see now, just by putting more contour like here and here, I'm thinning my nose bridge. Each time I put more contour, I'm thinning it more. The closer I make it, the more I thin it. And there we go. We have a very thinned nose bridge. We have our little button right here, which I will just rub with my finger to kind of blend. And we have our nose contour. Ta-da! So yeah, so then the next thing that I'm going to do, I don't do this most of the time, but I will do it this time, is I'm going to put a little bit more concealer on this brush. Here. So I got a little bit more concealer. I'm going to put that on the brush. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the concealer like on the outside. So if you kind of think of it like a, think of like a trans flag or something, okay? So it goes, you know, light, darker, lighter. So I'm actually going to lighten these areas here and here. And that's going to kind of flatten my nose a little bit. If you think of how the shadows would work, right? If you can imagine with the nose, why would this area be brighter and this area be darker and this area be brighter? Well, it would be if you had a nice ridge and then it was kind of flat and then this area was just flat, right? Once the area flattens out, it brightens. And the contour is reserved for the part of your nose that isn't flat, right? So now I look like I have kind of a more flattened nose, ideally, is the goal here. I don't do this very often because I don't think it's really worth it most of the time. It's like super, super minor. And you don't have to do it too, but it's just nose contouring in general. So there we go. That's nose, blush done. And that's kind of the, this is basically the like, if you saw me on the street right now, you would probably assume I'm not wearing makeup. I just look very healthy. That's probably what you would assume. You'd be like, wow, she's not wearing makeup, but she has such nice, healthy skin. And you wouldn't this is where guys will stop and go, oh my god, I love girls with no makeup. Okay, this is where guys will be like, I love when girls have no makeup. She's just glowing. Exactly. She's just glowing. So far, what have we done? We've gotten rid of the discoloration around my eyes by using my foundation just around this area. We have smoothed out my skin, covered up any sort of like imperfections, any spots, covered up if you have beard shadow. I don't really have much beard shadow, but like, you know, like everyone grows hair, obviously, right? I've had laser sections, I still have some dark hairs. So I've covered up any sort of like hairs that you might see, like little mustaches, you know? Girls get mustaches too, just to be clear. So I've covered that up. I've fixed the discoloration. I've given myself a nice healthy look on my cheeks and my nose. I look like I've got a little bit of sunlight. Okay, I just look like I've got sunlight on me. Basically, the face layer done. So, next, I think, what I'll do is, I will do lips for you. So you can just kind of see lips. Now, I personally don't do lips that well. If you look at my actual natural lips, very thin upper lip and an okay lower lip. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with one or the other, like, you know, having thin lips or big lips. Generally speaking, larger lips are seen as a little more attractive, but conversely, larger lips can be seen as like a masculine trait. Don't ask me why, okay? Probably racism or sexism or something. I don't know exactly why, but
Nice.
you don't
Very
need to
nice
thicken your
bulge.
lips. But I think, generally speaking, it's kind of considered attractive to have a little bit bigger lips. Thin lips are pretty in their own way, but if you want to go for conventional attractiveness, a little bit bigger in your lips is probably not going to hurt you. So this is a liner pencil, a lip liner pencil. What I'm going to do with it after I drink my tea is I'm going to do a little bit of an outline of my lips that make them just a little bit larger than they are naturally. You notice a lot of girls avoid doing the part in the center of the top lip nowadays and do the rounded look. You mean they avoid drawing in the cupid's bow and they instead like cover it? Or what do you, yeah, that is the way to do it. I am kind of undecided on my lips. I don't do them that often, personally. I will do that today, just to see what it looks like. So what I'm going to do actually is, I'm not going to draw in my cupid's bow here, as it's called. I'm gonna just kind of fill in a more rounded look on my lips. What that essentially does is, it adds a little bit more of a pout to your face. It kind of tightens your lower face a little bit. And it's kind of a cuter look, in my opinion. Whereas kind of like a nice defined arch.
Nice.
It's a little bit more
Very
like an
nice
intense,
bulge.
kind of bolder look. So we'll try that. So lip liner is
Nice.
pretty
Very nice
self-explanatory.
bulge.
You outline your lips with it. The idea is, if you don't like the size of your lips, outline them just a little bit bigger. Don't go, I mean, you can go crazy. There's no rules, right? And you've seen, if you look at, like I said, if you look at drag queens, they will sometimes overline their lips like insane. Their lips could be this big, and they'll outline it like this big. And you can do that. But if you're just like learning makeup, obviously, I wouldn't go for that right away. So yeah, just outline your lips. And I'm going to outline them a little bit more than they are. Actually, you're here to line the eyes? Good, because we haven't started eyes yet. I'm going to outline my lips a little bit more than I have actually got lips. And I'm also going to completely fill in this area. I'm going to fill in this gap here. So you can kind of see it right here. I filled it in. So it's hard to talk during the lip part, but that's okay. And then on the lower lip, I'm going to again outline it just slightly more than the actual size. And it's gonna make my lips just a little bit bigger, but not unnaturally bigger. Okay, so that's the liner part. Then what I like to do personally for my lips, this is just me, I like to use the same shade that I used for my blush on my lips. Don't ask me why. I don't know why I started doing it, but it is what I do currently. So I use the exact same cream that I use for my blush. Now, if you use a powder blush, you're not going to be able to do this. But if you use a cream blush, you can use the cream blush for this. Or if you use like a liquid blush or whatever. I have like a liquid blush somewhere. But I'm going to use the exact same thing I did for my blush, and I'm going to use that for my lips, along with one other lip product. So what I'm actually going to do first here is I'm going to start, so I use two products for my lips. I use a dark color, here, darker, and lighter, okay? Lighter color here. The same principle applies to like lip as like contouring your nose or your cheeks or wherever you're contouring, okay? Darker color equals shadow, lighter color equals light. So, with the darker color, I'm gonna put my lips like this, and I'm gonna draw a little bit of a couple lines underneath in kind of the middle part of my lips, like here and here, okay? And then after I do the darker color, I'll blend it out, and then I'll take a lighter color and I'll lighten the top and the bottom. And the idea will be, you would have shadows in here, in your face, you would have shadows here, underneath your lip, and it would be brighter up here. So that's the whole point, right? So, I'll kind of try to show you what I'm doing here. Now that's kind of a really bad job, but doing it into the camera is hard, so I'll do it here and then I'll show you. But the idea is, again, inner part of your lip, okay? And you can kind of see, right? Darker here, lighter here. Again, darker here. And we're gonna whiten, okay? Kind of hard to show that. Not the most flattering, not the most flattering angle, but yeah. I'm just gonna use a Q-tip to blend this because, yeah. And I'm just gonna kind of gently blend it upwards. Alright. Well, might have applied a little bit too much here, but okay. Not bad. Alright. So we darken the inner part, then we go to our lighter color here. I'm going to take, like I said, the same color I used on my lips, which is a mix of the two of these colors. So I'm just going to mix them on the brush a little bit here. Okay. And then this is going to be the outline now. So now we're going to go up here. with the lighter color. Okay. And what ideally you should have, it's probably hard to see here, but ideally what you should have is a little bit of just texture in your lips. So they're not going to look like a solid chunk of one color. They're going to be lighter here, darker here, lighter here. Which, unfortunately, I think, yeah, we listen to the same random lo-fi. Yeah, I'm not even listening right now because I want my headset off for the makeup, but yeah. But that's just going to make your lips look, basically you want to add like dimensionality, whatever. You want to add that to your lips. So that's the reason to do lip contour instead of just one color of your lips. Alternatively, if you're new to makeup and you're new to lips and you're new to everything and all of this is new to you, if you really want an intro to lips, just get a lip gloss. Don't overthink it. Just get a lip gloss that's kind of close to your natural color and just put lip gloss on. Don't overthink it. Don't spend 20 minutes on lips. There's no reason, especially when you're like learning other makeup stuff. Don't bother. Just put lip gloss on. It is 90% as good as doing this shit, okay? Just put lip gloss on. Don't overthink it. Don't waste time. If you're new, just lip gloss. I swear you will not regret doing it. Just make sure to get one that's close to your natural color, and one that obviously matches your skin tone, right? Which your natural lips should match your skin tone, obviously. Okay, so that's lips. So that would be basically everything. I am going to actually brush a little bit more right here. Okay. And I'm going to grab another Q-tip and I'm just gonna make sure the shape is okay and I didn't have any parts that kind of got weird. Now, another thing you can do with contour, with like your contour brush, like I mentioned earlier, if you contour in here, it will accentuate the shadows of your lower lip. If you put some contour in here, it's going to make your lower lip look bigger, hanging over more. And if you do the opposite, actually, and you take your concealer, your highlight, your thing that is brightening, if you add shadow down here, it makes your lower lip look bigger. And if you take light, basically, and you brighten above your lip, which I've kind of messed up a little bit here, but if you brighten above your lip, you're going to do the exact opposite, right? But you're going to achieve the same effect, reversed. So, by... one sec. By increasing the shadow under your lower lip looks larger. By increasing the light above your lower lip, your upper lip looks larger. So now I look like I have two actual sized lips. And I'm just gonna make sure this is all good. Okay, now I'm gonna have two actual, like, decent sized lips. No filler required. No lip filler required. And that would be basically, if you wanted to just go with a very natural look, we would just do our brows and probably our mascara, and we would just call it. We don't necessarily need to do like a crazy eyeshadow look with this. If I were to go out right now, I would again look like I'm not wearing much makeup, but I would look very pretty, like this. People would be like, wow, she doesn't need makeup to look gorgeous. And if I came into work like this, all the guys would think I'm not wearing makeup, and they would think I just look like this 24/7. So yeah, I'm gonna actually just right now setting spray. You don't need to spray that much. This is just almost empty, so I had to spray that much to actually get a decent amount out. You don't need to spray that much, I promise. I just did that because it's almost empty, okay? Just want to be clear right now. There's like nothing coming out. That's why. Okay. So it takes an hour and 27 minutes to feel healthy. If you're talking through every single step and you have a 30-minute preamble to the makeup, yes. But realistically, if you think of the actual time spent doing all of this, you can just, especially if you're rushing, you can just blast on the foundation. Really, it takes you 1 minute to damp the sponge, 1 minute to blend it all in. Your lips, if you just use lip gloss, 1 minute. So 1 minute for foundation, 1 minute for lip gloss. Realistically, how long did it take me to do the blush? You can do that in 1 minute, especially if you know what you're doing already. If you've already done your makeup like this 12 times before, then you're just going through the motions. You don't have to think through every step. If you're new, it's probably going to take you a while because every single action is going to require conscious thought. But as you do actions with conscious thought repeatedly, the more you do them, as long as you keep repeating them, eventually you don't need conscious thought to do them anymore. You just go, oh yeah, I'm doing my blush. Well, the way I do my blush is I just go like this. And that's how I do my blush. And you don't have to think about it beyond that. You just go, this is how I do my blush. And you're good. And obviously it won't look as good if you rush it in 20 minutes for everything. It's not gonna look as good as someone who takes, 3 hours on their makeup or something. But realistically, at a certain point, you get diminishing returns, right? So there's a certain amount of time where continuing to spend more and more time and energy on it is going to take you from it being this good to being this good. Whereas spending, you know what I mean? Yeah, you get diminishing returns, obviously. Okay. Before I move on to the eye area, are there any questions does anyone have any questions so far about anything? Before we move on to the eye area, I'm going to take this opportunity just to clean up my space so I have more freedom. You're still confused there's more to lips than gloss? It really depends on how much effort you want to put in. It really just depends. You can spend way more time and effort on basically any part of your makeup routine. Doesn't have to just be lips, but you can spend so much more time. I mean, again, I want to show you the drag queen reference here, my girl Willow Pill, but monitor. This here is absolutely not just lip gloss. To go from these lips to these lips, these lips to these lips, here she probably has maybe a lip gloss on, probably. She looks gorgeous here. But there's absolutely so much more going into this than just lip gloss. In fact, she probably has a glitter here as well. She probably has a base coat, and she might have even put in, because you can see like the yellow lighting on her lips here. She may actually have like a bronzy glitter on her lips here to give that kind of effect. It's totally possible. I mean, she's wearing so much, yeah. Because you can kind of see too, if you look here, bronzy color on her eye here that seems to match her lips. So it's totally possible she put like a bronzer on here. So I think before I do my eyeshadow, I'm gonna do my eyebrows. And I'll do those first for a couple reasons. You can do it in either order. If you do the eyeshadow first, you can draw your brows to match the eyeshadow wings that you've created, or the shape of your eyeshadow. And inversely, if you do your brows first, you can draw you can do in your eyeshadow to match your brow shape. So it's like, drawing one outline and filling in the color, or other way around, right? It's really not like that big a deal. But if you find that it's very, very easy for you to do your brows and get a shape that you like, you should probably do your brows first so that you know exactly how much space you have to work with when you're doing your eyeshadow. Otherwise, if you do your eyeshadow first and then you do your brows, you're probably going to do your brows based on the shape of the eyeshadow, which may not necessarily be even. But conversely, if you're very, very good at doing your eyeshadow shape and you're not very good at figuring out what kind of brow shape looks good, do your eyeshadow first, do your brows to match. Or just knowing how much space you have. Personally, I think I'm a little bit better at my eyeshadow than I am with my brows, but I'm still gonna do my brows first because it doesn't matter. Now, so far everything looks pretty natural. I haven't done anything outlandish with my face here. I haven't really done like an e-girl makeup look, I haven't done like a drag look. This is all just normal, natural makeup. So, if I were to do a crazy over-the-top eye look here, it might look a little out of place if I don't have anything else on my face that is balancing it in terms of craziness. It would be like I have a very normal face, crazy eyes, and then a normal rest of my face, right? Normal, crazy, normal. Because I don't have too much to balance crazy eyes, that's not necessarily a problem because I can just add more later. The idea with brows is a few different things, but your brows are kind of the expression indicator of your face, sort of. So for example, if I were to brush my brows all the way up like I'm kind of doing right now, I brush them all up, I don't fill them in on the bottom, and I kind of elevate my brows, it kind of gives me more of a surprised look to my face, if that makes sense. I mean, if you think of the kind of facial expressions people make in different moods, shock, you raise your eyebrows. So if I were to just take my eyebrows up, it would kind of give me this more look on my face, this kind of shocked look. Conversely, if I kind of pull them in a little bit here, and I kind of angle them a lot more, and I make them more angular, I can add like kind of anger to my face. Now I use my natural brows and I don't draw them in that much, so there's a limit to the emotions I can express. But if I kind of just do two very different brows, you'll probably be able to see that it kind of looks very different. Well, this one looks like a mess. They both kind of look like a mess in their own way. But the idea is they kind of do different things to what emotion you're trying to convey. Whether that's a little bit more serious, a little bit less serious. Personally, I think that the majority of brow work comes without makeup. A lot of what is important for your brows is going to be getting them shaped before you even start applying makeup. The more you shape your brows and the thinner and smaller you make them, the more creative liberty you have with your makeup for your brows. If you were to shave your brow off completely, well, you could have any brow you wanted, right? You could draw whatever shape you wanted. You could have a thin brow, you could have a thick brow, you could draw anything you wanted, any shape. It could be this angular, it could be like this shape, you could have anything. If you're working with your natural brows, the natural shape of your brow is going to dictate exactly how much you have the ability to change. I have quite full brows, as you can see. They are quite thick, they are relatively full. And they are also quite straight. If you look at my brows here, let me just show again. My brow doesn't have a ton of like natural arc to it. I'm trying to get actually lined up. This line here is quite straight here. So they don't have a ton of natural arc to them. Same here. This is like a completely straight line here. Totally straight. Because these are my natural brows and they aren't shaped, I haven't had them shaped differently. I haven't tweezed them or waxed them or went to somewhere and had them shaped differently. There's not a lot I can do to change those shapes. If I want to introduce a little bit more of an arch, to add a little bit more seriousness to my face, what I can do when I'm filling it in is I can fill in like here. I can kind of take this up and then I can extend my brow further than it naturally is and kind of take it down the way. So if I were to kind of demonstrate as best I can with the shape of them naturally. I could add a little bit more of an arch by like taking this part kind of this way and taking this part kind of this way. But like I'm kind of saying here, there's not a ton with my brows that I can change. I am going to try add a little bit more of an arch and extend them just a little bit. They're kind of a good length, so I'm not going to extend them too much more, but I'm going to extend them just a bit to kind of add a little bit more of an arch into them. So you just have to think, what shape are you trying to achieve? And if you don't like your brows, if you don't know what to do with them, it kind of sucks. Like, it's not easy to do all the time, but I promise you, just go to a salon and have someone shape your brows, have someone wax your brows. It's really cheap. It's very, very cheap. They'll do it for you the first time. Once they do it for you one time, all you need is a tweezer, and you just need to tweeze the hairs as they grow in, following the shape that the girl at the salon has already created for you. You just need to follow the shape, follow the outline. It's really not that hard. Like I said, because I want to add an arch, I don't want to fill in too heavily on the bottom. So what I'm using here is an eyebrow pencil. Doesn't particularly matter. I think the brand Anastasia Beverly Hills, I think is a good brand for eyes though. I think they make some good products. So I don't want to fill in too heavily right here. I want to kind of draw a nice outline here, like this, kind of like this shape. And you can kind of see I'm adding, if you compare these brows, I'm adding a little bit more underneath here. I am going to take it up a little bit higher and kind of avoid this area to make it more arched. And then I'm going to pull it down and extend it a little bit. And we kind of have this shape. So we've kind of added an actual arch into our eyebrow here. So you can see this one very straight. This one kind of has an arch. So that's going to make us a little more intimidating, which I might not want to do actually. I might want to go for softer. Straight eyebrow would be a little bit softer. So I'm thinking right now. I think I might actually change my mind here. What I am doing, okay, actually, never mind. What I'm going to do is, sorry. I'm gonna do this eye, arched. I'll do this eye, not arched, and then we'll just kind of compare them, okay? And then whatever one I like more, I will go with. So now that I've done kind of the bottom, I'm going to kind of fill in the top and kind of complete that extended area here. And just kind of brush through it and kind of fill in gaps. So now I've got an actual arch here. Actual arch. On the other one, I'm going to do the opposite of what I did here, and I'm going to flatten it by filling in this little gap here and not dragging that arch outward in a downward direction, and kind of just taking it flat across. And kind of same principle. You can see this one way flatter. This one has more of an arch. And we can look at these and be like, oh, which one do we like more? And which one do we want to go with? And I think, personally, I don't know, actually. What do people think? Which brow do you like more? I think I like this brow more, personally. I think I like the flatter one a little bit more. This is also my favorite side of my face though, so it's a little biased. But I think I like the flatter one more. So I'm just going to, the arch is your favorite? Oh damn, okay. I think I like the flatter one more. Oh, so I'm just gonna put a little bit of makeup remover on a Q-tip, and I'm just going to, on the arched one, kind of kick away that arch right at the end. There. Now thankfully I didn't really put on, like, it's easier to turn the arched one into a flatter one. You like the arched one more? Oh damn. Chat doesn't agree with me. Flat looks good? Okay, thank God. Whew. You're supposed to shake like that? Yes, you are. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna make it, this one now is gonna be flatter. So, kind of same principle as the other one. Just kind of fill in the gap underneath. Don't drag the line downward. And it's a lot flatter now. Not that complicated. Now you can spend way more time on your brows than this, but in my opinion, it's a lot of effort, or it takes a lot of effort to get really good brows, and you don't really need that much to have good brows. And the other thing is, I don't know how to do really good brows personally, so it's just copium right now. But really good brows are really hard, okay? They're really hard, and they take a lot of time, and I don't know how to do them. So this is the best advice you're gonna get from me on brows, right here. This right here is also from Anastasia. It's a brow gel. So the idea of a brow gel is it's like setting. It's like gel for your hair, right? But for your brows, you just kind of brush it in. You brush your brow into the shape that you want, and then it kind of hardens and it keeps it in that shape for longer. Stops it getting messed up. It's literally just gel for your brows. Okay. Ta-da! That's the brows done. Amazing. So at this point, again, like I said before, we could just put mascara on and call it a day. We could put eyeliner and mascara on and call it a day. And this would be like, especially with eyeliner and mascara, people could tell we're wearing makeup, but this would look like light makeup.
Nice, very nice, bold.
If that's your goal and you just want to look good for work or something, you can stop here once you apply mascara. So I would recommend you get one of these to curl your lashes. You curl your lashes, put mascara on them, call it a day. If you're just trying to look good for work, that's fine. You're good here. No need to do crazy eyeshadow. You will look great right now, just right here. But we're gonna do eyeshadow next. So before I do that, I'm just gonna grab this brush and I'm just going to brush my eyelid a little bit, because I've noticed as I open and close my eyes, I'm forming these little lines here in the product that I put on my eyes. Alright, so step one for your eyes is primer. So this is, you can just get it, I got it at Sephora. You do not need to do this step if you're using, for example, like a liquid product on your eyes. So for example, like if you were to, let's say you did your foundation first. The first step you did was your foundation, and you put it on your eyes and you blended it and stuff. You probably wouldn't need to put a primer on because your eyes would already be primed. The idea is when you put on eyeshadow, it's dry. There's wet products and there's dry products, and there's in between. Eyeshadow is a powder. Powder is dry. Therefore, if you apply dry powder on dry skin, it's not going to stick super well. Conversely, if you have wet or moist skin, and you put a powder on it, it's gonna eat that shit up and it's gonna stick very nicely. My eyelids probably don't need primer right now because I'm just touching them and they don't feel dry. They feel kind of nice actually. So I don't really think they need primer, but I'm still gonna do it just to show you. So just get a little primer and you're just gonna kind of tap it onto your eyelid and wherever you imagine you will be putting. Get some liquid eyeshadow. I've never tried liquid eyeshadow. Eyeshadow fallout is the bane of your existence. So I have a trick for eyeshadow fallout for you. That is actually crazy life hack. I'll tell you how to deal with eyeshadow fallout in 2 different ways, actually. But I have the easiest, most simple, best trick to deal with fallout when you're applying eyeshadow is simply to do your eyeshadow as the very first step in your makeup. That's the simplest, easiest cheat code trick. If you struggle with fallout from your eyeshadow, do it first. Don't give a shit about fallout. Collect your fallout here, wipe it off, and put your foundation on top. If you have fallout while you've already finished all of your face and you get a bunch of fallout under here, and you start wiping it off, you're gonna take off your foundation, you're gonna take off any like highlight you've put up here, any blush, and you're gonna have to redo those parts. If you just do your eyeshadow first, make as much of a mess as you want, does not matter. Just make a big ass mess. Wipe it off and then put your foundation on. Totally valid, absolutely nothing wrong with doing it in that order. And that was the order that I did my makeup in for quite a while. Now that I think I'm a little bit better at it, I have the confidence to not really give a shit about the order and just do it, you know, and I don't think I'm going to get fallout. But that was how I did it at first, was I literally, before foundation, before anything, eyeshadow first. Especially if you want to get good at it and if fallout is something you're struggling with. I can do this kind of combo of like a whitey light color in here into a pink with a big eyeliner wing. In my opinion, eyeshadow is actually way less challenging than eyeliner is. I think it's a lot easier personally. A big reason that I started doing eyeshadow was because I struggled so hard with eyeliner, and I find that doing eyeshadow was just the simpler way to get good at makeup. I find it significantly easier than eyeliner. So eyeliner will be the last step. We'll do the eyeshadow first. You have a much easier time with it. Your eyeliner never looks right. Yeah, it's just, the reality is, the difference between the two is that eyeliner is sharp lines and eyeshadow is soft lines. So I wonder if I can demonstrate this, maybe using paint a little bit. But the idea would be, if you have eyeliner and you're drawing a line like this, any sort of imperfection in the shape here is kind of very obvious. It's very like visible that there's been a mistake here. However, if we use like the spray can and we try to do like a similar shape here, the idea would kind of be that like the mistakes are kind of like less noticeable because it's not trying to be like a perfectly straight line because it's foggy. So it's kind of harder to tell that you've like made a mistake, basically. That's like the big difference, essentially. It's harder to tell that all these lines are fucked up when it's foggy and blended. And it's much easier to tell that a line is fucked up when you're using eyeliner. Is basically the idea. The other thing with eyeliner is it's just really heavy. It's a heavy product, and if you make a mistake with eyeliner, it's a pain in the ass to remove it. Yeah, it's just really irritating. At least with eyeshadow, when you mess up eyeshadow, you can almost remove the part of the eyeshadow that you messed up and it's kind of fine. But with eyeliner, especially if you're using like a heavy eyeliner, if you make a mistake and you try to wipe it off with makeup remover, you're gonna start spreading the eyeliner around. as you try to remove it, which is gonna like, I don't know. You're basically never gonna get that eyeliner off unless you take the whole eye off, is what I'm kind of saying, and redo it from scratch. But we'll try that, okay? We'll try eyeliner. So let me again put you in front of me, and we'll start with eyeshadow. So we're gonna do kind of the pink look that I did before with the big eyeliner one. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open this palette. This is again the palette I'm using. Like I said, it's really cheap and it has a ton of colors in it if you want to mess around with colors. It has some neutral tones if you want to do neutral tones. The other thing that I'm going to have here that is very useful, and if you want to do eyeshadow, I really think you should get one of these. I got it at Sephora. It's a daily brush cleaner spray. I actually super recommend this. The idea is nobody has time to fucking clean their brushes, okay? Especially like none of us have time to do an actual fucking brush clean. So the idea is you spray this on your brush. I'm going to use these two brushes really. One of them is like, it's hard to express the shape or whatever. I can tell you exactly what brush it is. The number 27 from Sephora. There's this brush, and then there's this brush. The differences are the tips. As you can see, this one has a thinner tip actually. It's actually thinner at the, or sorry, this one is thinner at the tip, but it's kind of more, what's the word? It's kind of fluffier, a little bit less, you can kind of feel when you touch them. This one doesn't have as much resistance because it's like less packed. There's less bristles per like square centimeter or whatever. And this one is more densely packed and wider. This is what I'm going to use mostly to blend around here. This one I'm going to use to blend in here. And I'll use a couple other brushes as well afterwards. But before I start, because I already had used eyeshadow on these brushes, I think the same colors that I'm using today, but I'm just going to show you just for demonstration's sake. What I would do is I would just take the brush cleaner, spray it on them, paper towel, and just kind of rub them on the paper towel, like this. And it's a good thing I did that because this brush actually had the color black on it, which would have been a disaster. And then yeah, so you just rub, you kind of get the colors off. This one's probably fine. This one though, because I had black eyeshadow on this brush, it's very important that this brush is clean before I start using a lighter color than black. For anyone that has taken, if you've taken, you probably know from art class in high school or something, right? But mixing a bunch of colors together eventually leads to black. Once you go black, you can't go back, okay? So if you put black eyeshadow on your face, you cannot cover that black eyeshadow up with another color without it getting eaten up by the black. Now that's not a perfectly general rule, there are some exceptions. But for the most part, once you do a black eyeshadow, you're not going to put green on top of a black eyeshadow and get green eyeshadow. It's going to still be black with like weird bits of green in it. So the general theory when you're doing eyeshadow is start with your lighter colors and increase to the darker colors as you progress, because it is always possible to add more of a lighter color, and it is not always possible to take away a darker color. So I'm just making sure this is very clean for the exact reason that I mentioned. Just want to make sure they're dry and stuff. And following off that, naturally, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this really light cream color, which is close enough to my skin tone. I'm going to put it on this brush, and this is going to go on the inner third of my eyelid. So here to like here on my eyelid, okay? The idea here is that this is brighter than even the foundation and stuff that I put on my eye. It's brighter than it is. So it's going to create kind of a highlighting effect like I talked about when I talked about contouring and concealer and stuff. It's gonna highlight it, and it's gonna pull it out a little bit and make it pop, right? So I'm gonna put a bunch of this, and the nice thing about starting with the light color, again, is you can always go over this. So if you put way too much on, and you can probably already see it from compared to here, this is just brighter. You can put a lot of this on, and it's really not a big deal. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go kind of crazy with it on the inner corner of my eye. And it doesn't really matter if I get it on my full eyelid, even though I only kind of want it to be on the inner third. It really doesn't matter because I'm going to put darker colors on top of it, and it's not going to be visible anymore. So yeah, we're just going to really like layer this into the corner here. And we can use more later. However, I would recommend being careful. Let's say later I finish the eyeshadow look, and you can already kind of see actually, I think, here that it's kind of lightened. I think you can kind of already see it. But let's say I finish the eyeshadow look, and then I think to myself, you know what? I want this inner corner to have more of the creamy light color. I want it to be a little bit brighter. There's only one issue with this, which is if you've put on a darker color and you've blended it like all the way to here, when you start blending here, it's very easy that your brush moves up here, collects the dark color, and drags it back in. So you could very easily, if you're trying to add more cream to your eye, you could accidentally like pick up like your pink color or your whatever color you choose and kind of drag it back in and muddy it up. And that would give the complete opposite of what you're trying to do, right? You're trying to lighten the inner corner. But yeah, we're going crazy right now with this. And that's fine. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this exact same color and I'm actually just underneath my eyebrows, so up here. I'm also going to brush this in, and that's going to essentially highlight my brow bone. Or not brow bone, there's an actual name for this bone, but I forget what it is. I forget what it's called. Maybe it is my brow bone, actually. You're doing my makeup. Oh, that's so awesome. I love that people are doing that. But it's gonna highlight just underneath my brow, which makes perfect sense when you think about it, right? Because this part is elevated. If you think of a natural eye shape, elevated, shadow, not shadow. So not shadow, shadow, not shadow. So we're just gonna put, again, some up here, kind of highlight it, make it a little brighter. None of this is super impactful right now. This is just step one. And the nice thing about doing this step first, obviously, is you can do whatever the fuck you want because it's very hard to mess this up. You can actually do it. You can do whatever, really. You're not gonna fuck it up. It's basically skin toned, basically the same color as my skin. It's a slightly highlighting color. There's no way to mess it up. Okay. Once you've done that, we're gonna use our shadow color. So I'm gonna do pink. And I'm not going to do multiple shades of pink, though you can add different shades. If you want to add multiple shades of eyeshadow, the general theory is go out, well, there's a couple different theories. Theory number one would be increasingly darken your eyeshadow outwards this way. So that's possibility number one. Lightest color into medium color, into darker color, okay? You can do that. Or the other way that you could do it, if you're gonna add multiple colors in, is outline in one color, and then the next color goes more in, and, how do I word it? Sorry. I'm gonna do paint again, because I'm just bad at using my words here. Way one would be, if I just get my eye here, and whatever, right? Way one would be lightest color here into medium color into darker color into darkest color into black or something, right? You could do it kind of like that. But the other way would be essentially you would have your lightest color like this, okay? and you would fill it all in with your lightest color here. And then underneath that, you would use your medium color, which you would put in, and you would take it not quite as far out as the lightest color, and you would have your medium color in here, and then you would do the same thing, and you would gradually tighten up this wing and get smaller and smaller, and you would do your third color, and then you would do your fourth color, like this, and you would just, and then you would finish with your black eyeliner wing or whatever, right? I can't really draw a good one here, but you know, and then you're finished with your eyeliner wing. So those are like kind of the two ways, sort of. There's so many more than two ways, but those are like two simple ways to think about color gradients, I guess, when you're doing your eyeliner, or your eyeshadow, I mean. But I'm just going to use one color this time with the highlight color, and then I'll add some glitter afterwards. I'm just going to use this pink color here. It is exactly this color. It is this color right here that I'm going to be using. Okay? I'm basically going to be doing this eyeshadow look, or this eyeliner look, just probably with like the follow-up wing. So we're going to use our second brush here. Now, there's a couple of things that you can do here that are really, really nice and really helpful. Sometimes when I'm doing my makeup, a cheat that I do a lot actually is I use tape. I have a tape here. I got it at a drugstore. It's just a gentle paper tape, okay? This is a very, very easy trick, and I would highly recommend it when you're starting out on makeup to do stuff like this, because it allows you to get nice, sharp wings without actually needing to be good at it. It's really, really good. I'm not going to do it because I want to show the makeup without using the tape. However, if you want to get good quickly, if you want to have nice wings, tape is so useful. All you do is you just pull a piece out, basically. Well, you want to, obviously. And you're just going to take your eye, and you're going to basically, I might have to use the mirror for this, but I'll try to show you. Follow the line of your eye, your lower eye, as it kind of moves up towards your brow. And then you're gonna like put the tape on like that. You're gonna like tape it down, obviously. And then this way, when you're doing your eyeliner, or your eyeshadow, I mean, you can brush into this as much as you want. You can just brush right into it, and when you peel it off, you're gonna get a super sharp line here. Super, super sharp. So tape is really, really good. I don't think I'm going to do it for the simple reason that I would like to do the makeup look with no tape, because it's like it kind of feels like training wheels, you know? But it's such an effective, amazing trick, and I still use it a lot. And I can't say I'm not tempted to use it right now, actually, because it would probably make this look infinitely easier. So to repainter's tape, yeah, it's really good. Like, again, it removes the possibility that you make a mistake. The only potential mistake you could make is putting your, like, you know, putting one tape like this angle and the other like this angle. You know, that's like the only potential mistake you could make using tape on your eyes. But you can take as many tries as you want just to keep putting them back down until you get your angles correctly. And then if you brush your eyeshadow right into the tape, it's literally impossible to fuck up. You're gonna get the sharpest line of your life, and it's gonna look great. But yeah, so I put a bunch of pink on this. Then what I do once I put the thing on it is, I have like a little bin down here, but I'm gonna show you just for the demonstration. But I just tap the brush. The reason I do that is to make sure there's no fallout. So now I don't have nearly as much product on my brush, but it won't fall off when I apply it now. Like, it won't fall onto my lower face. So I just put the product on, tap it off, and then I start applying. When you're thinking about your eyeshadow, when you're applying it like this, generally speaking, you might, yes, if you're struggling with fallout, tap your brushes. Yeah, definitely, just tap your brushes. Remember that it's always possible to add more, not possible to take away. I mean, with makeup remover it is, but you know what I mean. So, generally speaking, you want to start applying here, on your eye. The like outer part of your eye, like right here, is where you want to start applying eyeshadow. Now the reason for this is going to be for essentially every single makeup look you're ever gonna do with eyeshadow. Essentially, probably not literally, but essentially, this is going to be the most jam-packed area with products. It's gonna have, your eyeliner wing is gonna start getting big here. If you're doing multiple colors, this is gonna have the darkest color in it. So you wanna start by putting your product here, right here, because it's gonna be the most jam-packed area anyway. So you wanna kind of start here and blend outward from it with your color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of draw a nice little line here, just underneath the bone of my face. So probably hard for you to see because there's probably not that much dimension here, but this is like the bone part of my face. So I'm going to start kind of drawing this line just underneath that. So if I kind of turn here, I'm going to kind of draw this pink along this area. And I'm not going to take it all the way in. I don't want it all the way into my corner. I want it like from here outward. Okay, so put my product here, kind of blend upwards like this. I'm going to pull it upwards, and then I'm going to kind of, like a window wiper motion, kind of get it along here. Okay? And I put very, very, very little product on my face there because I tapped most of it off. So I'm going to put a little bit more on. I'm going to go a little bit heavier here. I'm going to just kind of start in this area, kind of pull it up a little bit, like this, and then just start kind of blending this sort of line here. Then, there's a lot less space for you between the eyebrows and the eye. Yeah, so what I would recommend is, if you don't have that much space from here to here, you're probably just gonna have to condense everything. The nice thing is, because I'm only doing one color, it really doesn't, like space is not that important, because I have, like space will get more important if I wanna do like layered colors, but it's just the one color, so don't worry too much and just kind of fill in what space you have. Then what I like to do is I like to look at the shape of my brow here, and I want to kind of brush up like this, and then I want to take this line that's going into like the underneath the bone. I'm going to just kind of pull it outwards. I'm going to kind of drag it out in the same kind of shape as my eyebrow. I'm going to get kind of dragged outward. And we're going to start forming our wing, basically. I'm going to go again up like here. I'm going to drag it out from here. And if you were doing an eyeliner wing, it would basically be, this is kind of the upper line that you would do on your eyeliner wing. So we're going to just, it's the same kind of equivalent thing. So we're going to drag this line outward as long as we want it. Really as far out as we want. I'm going to drag it pretty far, so like further than my actual brow. I'm going to drag this out. I'm going to be very gentle with the motions. Kind of angle the brush as to not get like too thick of a line here. And I have this kind of shape forming, right? So you can kind of see the wing shape forming. I'm going to get more pink. Tap it off. You can tap it off on your hand as well if you want, doesn't matter too much. And then I'm going to, from here again, kind of tap in here, kind of blend downward a little bit, and start kind of doing that lower line. Again, if you were to do like an eyeliner wing, you would do like an upper and a lower line of your eyeliner. You would kind of fill it, right? So we're doing the same thing, we're creating a shape here. And you can, hopefully, see the shape that I've made here on my eye. I've made a wing out of my eye right here. Now, the important thing, now that I've kind of made the shape, it's just that it's kind of filled. It looks good. It doesn't have like weird lines. We can sharpen it with concealer later. We just want to kind of make our wing, and we have right here. We've made our pink eyeshadow wing. So that's our wing. And we'll do the same on the other side. Another bit of advice I would give to you when you're doing eyeshadow and you're learning is I would don't finish one eye before you start the next one. Try to keep the steps relatively in tandem, because if you finish one eye and then start on the other one and you're just starting from scratch on the second eye, you're probably not going to get eyes that look very similar. But if you do every step back to back, a couple benefits. Firstly, you probably don't need to rewash your brushes and start again. That's like benefit number one. And benefit number two, you can kind of make sure that they're looking similar at every step of the way. So again, I start and I pack it on in this corner. I brush it up a little bit. I do my little window wiper motions to kind of drag it in towards the middle of the eye, get under the brow bone. And then I drag it out and I try to follow that line of my brow. Now my eyes and your eyes and everybody's eyes are not identical. The saying is they're sisters, not twins. They're not going to look the same. And that is okay. They don't have to look identical because your eyes are not identical. If you copy and pasted the same, I just have a bit of, what's it called? My eyebrow pencil smudged a little bit here on the side of the art. Anyway, it doesn't matter. If you try to get them to look identical, they're never gonna look identical, okay? Your eyes are different. This eye for me is more deep set than this eye, and it has a little bit more lid space actually. So it's a little bit more deep set, but it has a little bit more lid space. This eye, less deep set, but actually less lid space. So they're never gonna look identical when I do them. They're just not going to. If I did the exact same makeup look on both ones, it wouldn't be correct. You have to make little tiny adjustments for each eye, but the same principle applies again. So I'm gonna do the kind of the brushing in here and then dragging it out in this line. And this is like the upper line of my eyeshadow, the upper part of my wing. I'll turn the light off so you can kind of see a little bit better. And again, there's no pressure to like really go heavy here because you can always make it heavier. So it's okay to figure out your outline first in a light color. Once you figured it out in your lightest color, then you can go over in a heavier color. So I'm just making sure there's not that much on this. And again, once I do the upper line, because the upper line is very easy, in my opinion, for me at least, it's easier to do the upper line first because all I do is follow the natural shape of like this bone. Then I go here, like I said, underneath, and I kind of fill in the lower line, like this. Now, like I said, if you use tape right here, you don't really need to worry about this part because you would just brush it all into the tape and you would get this line done for you, right? That's kind of the benefit of using like a tape here instead of this. You don't really need to be precise at this part because it would be done for you and it would give you a very sharp line. Now the benefit to not using tape here is that you don't get a sharp line, which you might ask, why is that a benefit? Wouldn't that be a negative? It wouldn't look as good. However, like I mentioned before, blurry edges are a lot more forgiving than straight edges. So you can kind of have a little bit more freedom to have a little bit of mistakes in the shape if it's blurrier. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of bring this purple in a little bit more along the eyelid. I want to get most of the eyelid purple, but not all of it. Like I said, I want this inner third to be highlight, essentially. And yeah, and I just want to make sure these are relatively similar in thickness and length, which means I just need to lengthen and thicken this one a little bit more. And you can see we kind of have our, right now, we have our two wings here. So, ta-da! That's kind of the eyeshadow wings. Now, it's a little bit hard to see perfectly, I think, on the stream lighting here. Unfortunately, I don't have like a super perfect setup, but in real life, looking at them very closely, they're relatively similar. This one could use a little bit more of intense color right here, but just to remind people, I need to get more color here. However, I don't want to just start tapping more product here because I need more color here. Again, put it here first and blend it into it. Don't get caught up in, oh, I need to put more product here. Let me just put more product here. Because what'll happen is you'll put too much, you'll try to blend it, it'll go everywhere, it'll ruin the shape that you've been making, and it won't be that good. It won't be good. It'll be bad. You'll be upset. Okay, and this just needs a little bit more of a filling up here. And now once you've kind of done basically the important part on both eyes, now what we want to do is we want to spend just a little bit of time making sure that they are relatively similar looking. So we're going to look at them a little bit. We're going to compare eyes. We're going to say this one here looks a little more one way. This one looks a little more the other way. I think they look fine, personally. The differences I notice are the same differences I always notice in my eye, which is that this line goes down a little bit more than this one. That's just due to the shape of the eyes. So if I wanted to correct like here, I would just kind of put a little bit more up right here. And put a little bit more here, and just kind of maybe drag this one a little bit longer. Now I'm going to do the under eye. So I'm not going to just start this eyeshadow on the upper eye. I'm going to use the same brush, same color, tap it off like before. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my finger, I'm going to like push it like this. As you can see, normally it would be like this. I'm going to push it into this shape. And by pushing it into this shape, what I can do then is I can get a lot more precise, because your under eye is, generally speaking, going to have way less thickness to it than you're going to apply on your upper eye. So we're going to pinch it in, and we're going to just kind of like tap along here and brush a little bit and kind of brush it in. Even pull my eye here and kind of brush it in to the wing I've created to kind of connect the lower part to the eye. So you can see this is with it connected, this is without it connected. Okay, I'm going to do the same. So again, press it in like this, and I'm going to tap under the eye here. And I don't want to go all the way into the corner, because remember, I want this part of the eye to be, like this part, to be highlighted. So I don't want to bring the pink all the way into the corner, because I still want it to be like kind of separated and defined as being the highlight part. And then I'm going to tilt my head, and I already have the outline of the eye, so I can kind of, it's kind of okay if I like stretch my eye here a little bit, because I already know the shape I'm creating. I'm going to fill in here. Again, I'm just going to stretch my eye just for this part. I think this could use a little bit more height. Again. I'm going to use a Q-tip. I'm going to take a little bit of the bottom of this part off, just to make them a little bit equal in height. Okay. great so far, I think. Very good so far. What I could do here, now for me, this looks fine. For you, it seems very hard to see. I do have the pink going here. It's very hard to see on camera, so I'll accentuate it a little bit. Just for you. For me, it is fine, so I don't really need to do this step, but it's like really hard for, I think, you to see that I do have the pink continuing in here. I think it's kind of challenging to see with the lighting. So I'm gonna add a little bit more intensity to it, just so you can see the shape a little bit better. This is a little more intense than I would have done for myself, but I just want you to be able to see it, essentially. This part, oh, you can't even see. But this part is coming in probably to like here, for me. Coming in a lot further than it looks, okay? I promise. And I'm just gonna kind of fill in the gaps. I'm taking, again, if you used tape for this part, I guarantee you, if you used tape here, this could take you, like, I swear to God, this could take you 2 minutes. You would just fucking, you could go crazy with it, and it wouldn't matter if you like messed up the brushing too much. Just make sure to leave gaps for your inner corners so that they can be highlighted later. So just don't bring it in too far. Don't bring it in too far. You want to keep this part for highlighted, like to be highlighted, okay? Good. That's basically the shape. Now, if you were to add a second color, I'm not going to, but let's say you actually, maybe I will, just to show you. I'll use a second color. If you're going to add a second color, the basic principle is add a darker color, create the exact same shape, but don't bring it out as far. So I will do it just to show you. I don't really think this color is darker, to be honest, but I'll use it anyway. I have this more lavender color than the hot pink. So I'll use the lavender color here. And what I'm gonna do with this, basically, again, I'm gonna tap it off. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it, again, start at the same place that I told you. Put it in the corner. Blend it up. And follow the shape that you made with your first layer, but just don't brush it as far out. So follow the exact same shape, but just don't do it as far. Keep it a little bit closer in. And it's gonna create this effect where essentially one color slowly blends into the next color and lightens as it goes out. Now it's not going to make much of a difference because these colors are pretty similar, and I'm pretty sure I used that darker color first, but you can kind of see it on for me, I can kind of see it. It's probably hard for you to see on the camera. But again, start in the corner because that's where most of your product ends up. Go up like this and follow the shape of the upper layer, but just don't do it as far out. Keep it slightly less in and blend. Use the gentle thing. Just use the gentle hand. Amazing. And if you're going to use the darker color and you're going to use it on the top of your eye, also use it on the bottom of your eye and just keep it closer. So for example, I put pink underneath my eye and I put the pink from about here to here. Okay? Here to here. If you're going to use a second color, put it under your eye, but put it from like here to here. And then this will just be pink. So it naturally blends out into the other color. So. Don't drag it as far as you drag the other color. Exact same principle as with the top part. Just don't drag it as far. Because you want to have a nice color progression from dark to light. Okay, and there we go. That's basically the eyeshadow part done. So if I were to like say I would be, let's say I was moving on now to eyeliner, this is where I would stop. If I wanted to add another color, I could add another color. That's the pink, that's the shadow part. Now, the next thing we're gonna do after that is we're gonna add a highlight glitter. So If you have this palette, you'll have your choice of highlights. Anything that is like metallic and glittery, you can use as a highlight. I can use either a white shiny color, or I could use like a bronze color. Either is fine. Normally when I do this look, I do the lighter color, but bronze is also fine. So if you guys, I'll let you choose, I guess. If you want me to do the inner corner with a bronze glitter, or with a silver or bronze. Why am I saying white? Silver or bronze, basically. And then after that, we'll do our eyeliner. Silver, okay. I prefer silver personally. So yeah, the idea is I'm gonna use a different brush now. This one's, if you compare it to like the other brushes I was using, this one is a lot thinner, so it's more precise. So it's gonna let me get in here into this corner a lot more precisely than a bigger one. And I'm gonna grab the silver highlight on this brush. Right here. I'm going to tap it off, and then I'm just going to basically tap this on rather than kind of brushing. You can brush a little, but tapping is really nice with glitters sometimes because it can be a little, they can get a little like you can get a little faded out. If you're kind of brushing them, they can kind of lose some of their spark. There's quite a few tips with glitters I can give. Another tip with glitter that I can give is you can put it on your brush, like this. Put like your glitter on your brush. And then what you can do is you can take your setting spray here with the glitter on your brush with your setting spray. Let me just close this so I don't accidentally get any in. You can spray setting spray onto your brush. What that'll do is that'll make the glitter clump up the same way that it would if you were to put actual setting spray on it. It'll clump up, it'll get a little, moist. And then when you put it on, and you do tapping motions, of course, it'll come on thicker and more compact. Now, another option you have when applying glitters that probably won't work for most people, but you can apply with your finger. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a ton of space here. My fingers are not that small. So if I were to put glitter on with my finger, it might be a little hard. I'll try it on the other eye, but from my experience, applying highlight and glitters with your finger is way better than with a brush. For some reason, they just don't get as compact. They just don't that's why the eyeshadow tip is very useful, but they just don't get quite as they just don't look as full, I guess. They look a lot more spread out and a lot less full and intense. So I just have glitter on my finger here, and I would just kind of tap and drag it on the corner of the eye here. And it usually looks, in my opinion, a little nicer than the other method that I used. It's just that it can be kind of hard. It really can be hard to get into the corners with a finger. But in general, I think it looks better. So we have this shape here, okay? Going in, kind of stopping here. The natural progression of this line would be to go like this, along, and then it would go in here and it would curve down. So we're just having the pink naturally flowing into the glitter as it curves down into the corner of our eye, is what we're kind of going for here. So we just want it to have that kind of natural curve in. We can do that part with a brush, it's fine. Then what we're probably going to want to do is we're gonna get a little bit of highlight underneath here, right here as well. So we're gonna have highlight, like the glittery highlight on top and below. It's gonna like give us a nice popping inner eye here. I'll turn the light off here so you can see a little better. But now our inner eyes really pop out with the glitter here. They stand out a lot more. So there's our two eyes. And I think the one that has the eyeshadow looks a little more intense actually. Actually, not the eyeshadow. The one that has the setting spray tip actually kind of pops a little more for me. So maybe I'll put a little more on the other eye just to kind of balance them out in terms of like how cool they look. But yeah, that's basically the inner corner, and that's good. And now we have our very nice wing done. This is our eyeshadow essentially done here. The next step would be eyeliner. If you wanted right here to not do eyeliner because you don't like eyeliner, you're not great at eyeliner for whatever reason, you don't enjoy eyeliner, this is the time to do an eyeshadow wing instead of an eyeliner wing. What you would do if you use the tape method, or we'll do it like, you know, like this method, what you would do here is you would just take your eyeshadow palette, you would take your black eyeshadow, okay. You would basically start with your black eyeshadow, and you would start like here, and you would pull your black eyeshadow into this wing shape. And this part, maybe a little bit of a condensed version of your wing, similar to how we did with the second color that we did earlier, would be a black eyeshadow wing. And you would be able to just follow the exact outline that you've already created, exact same outline that you've created on each eye. You would just follow that with black eyeshadow would be the idea. Now, in my opinion, if you don't if you find eyeliner very challenging, just do the eyeshadow. It is significantly easier. It's the exact same process as everything we've done so far. It would just be black eyeshadow. Start here, pack it on in the corner, blend it up like a little zigzag, you know, blend it up a little bit. Don't take it nearly as high as you've taken the other wing. You don't want it to be that big. Blend it up like this to here, and then drag it out, and then create your nice little eyeshadow wing. In my opinion, that's gonna look probably gonna look better for most people when you're getting started. But we're gonna do eyeliner. So I'm gonna do eyeliner with my little pot and brush, but I swear it's not that much different. I just find it slightly easier. Actually, maybe I'll do it with the pan, just because people will probably have a pan and no one's gonna have a pot and brush. So I'll do it with the pan. I still recommend, personally, some other product than this pan, this eyeliner pan, for one reason. This eyeliner pan really sucks, in my opinion, at getting the inner corner. And this like little pot with my brush are really good at getting the inner corner of my eyeliner. So I'm probably gonna still use this at some point, but I would recommend that you don't use this for the entire eye, because the inner corner can look really good, but this particular liquid liner is challenging because it can be hard to be super precise in like these regions of your eye, because there's a lot of dimensionality to it. Like your eye shape doesn't just go like this into the corner. In reality, what it kind of looks like when it's going like this is it's going like this kind of shape. And trying to draw that with a line, what you want your line to look like is like a straight line. But when you're trying to draw a straight line into like a shape that's like fucking this shaped in the corner, it's like, yeah, it's not easy. But I will start with this. So basically what I like to do for eyeliner, step one is I just take the pan, I look down, and I put the precise point, the little, I don't know if you can see, you know, the thin point, and I just kind of like touch it right above my eyelashes. I want to say, I think this might be the same for everyone, but in the inner corner of your eye, you have a part of your eye where your lashes stop growing. I assume this is for everyone. If it's not, my fault. But at a certain point, like here on your eye, the lashes stop kind of growing and they don't grow inward anymore. So this is where I start with my eyeliner. I find that little part and I just put the thinnest part of it on and I tap it in to the skin and I drag a little bit. I tap it and I drag. And then I tap and I drag. Tap and drag. Tap and drag. And the idea is to line the entirety of your lash line here. Now, if you make a little bit of a mistake in size, as you get to the outer corners, that's actually fine, because we're going to make this eyeliner thicker and thicker the closer we get to the wing. So then once we have our first little line here, the idea in general is your eyeliner goes along quite thin, then on the outer like 1/3 of your eyelid, so like here onward, it starts to thicken. You can start thickening it also at about the 50% point if you want. But the idea is once you get to that outer third, now we're getting thicker and thicker. We haven't even drawn the wing. That's the general idea. So it starts thinner and it gets thicker. Starts thinner, gets thicker, okay? Like I said, remember what I said, don't do too much of one side before you do the other side, or else they won't look the same. So again, just tapping in the corner and dragging. It's hard to control the thickness though. It can be, yeah. The easy solution to that is to kind of just go with it. Aim to do your first line of your eyeliner as thin as possible. You can see how much thicker this one is than this one. Aim to do this first line just along your lash line as thin as you can. Try to do it as thin as you can, because the thinner you do it, the more options you have when you start thickening it. And then if you made a little bit of a mistake, like I did take this one up already pretty high, whatever one you take up high, then just try to match it on the other side. And it's going to get bigger. And I made a little bit of a mistake here on this eye. I got a little carried away and I made it a little bit too thick before I wanted it to be that thick. But it's not the end of the world, because I'll just thicken it a little more on the entire eye. And I'll do the same on the other just to kind of even them out. So there's the eye, the lash line kind of started. For the actual wing, if you have hooded eyes, I'm going to speak on the assumption that if a lot of trans women are watching, it's probably more averaging towards having hooded eyes. I'm going to assume that I have hooded eyes. I had FFS, but pre-FFS, my eyes were more hooded than this. If you have hooded eyes, or hooded eyelids, I mean, the important thing to remember with your eye is if you just draw a wing here, extending from this, when you look like this, the shape is going to look very different. Same here, right? If I look like this, it's gonna look very, very different. So the important part is to draw the wing that comes out of here on your face. The wing that comes out of here, you want to draw that in such a way that it can match either way that your eye is looking, which is hard to figure out on your own, but very achievable. Personally, I prefer to do the lower part of the wing first, simply because I always end up changing the lower wing eventually. but I just need it in place in order to get a good upper part of the wing. So I like to extend the eyeliner all the way to the end of the lash line. Then I like to follow this already created outline that I've made with my eyeshadow. I'm going to follow that from the point of my lower lash line here. So if my lower lash line starts here, that's going to be where I make like the first point of this line. Okay, that's the first point. Then the second point will be out pretty far because we're going to make a big wing, and it'll be pretty high because what we want to do, I hope this looks okay, but the first point would be here. The second point is going to be probably up here somewhere because we want this line to look like it flows naturally into this at this angle too. The second point would be somewhere up here. So we'll just make a point actually here. Right here. Okay? Make a little point. And then we'll kind of connect them. So from here, we'll draw a line with it. It goes up to that. That's like our lower line, basically. And we'll do the same on the other. So the first point is down here. The second point is going to be, I tilt my head a little bit, somewhere up here that connects into that. So it's going to be around about like here. And then again, we'll kind of connect these lines. Now, if they're not perfect, it's okay. I usually end up having to readjust the size eventually. But these will kind of be the start of our lower lines. Now, I'm going to edit the lower line eventually, but this is all I need right now to do my upper line. So now what I like to do, because of the fact my eyes are hooded, normally you want to do your eyeliner looking straight ahead. But what I like to do, because my eyes are hooded, is I actually bend my eyes over like this. And I kind of like completely fold in my hooded eyes. And then where that eyeliner touches the crease here, I draw a line from that into the point that I've made here. And I create this kind of outline. Okay? Something like this. Same on the other side, I tilt my eye in. I see this is where the line kind of goes. And I kind of pull that out into the outline that I made earlier. And I get these wing shapes. Now they're not perfectly symmetrical, but this is the start of the outline. So once we have this outline, which I am pretty happy with, I need to make a couple of adjustments, mostly to this one's, could use a little bit more of like an upturn and a little bit more length on it, which is good because those things are kind of easy to do together. I'm going to adjust the upper line here. This one could use a little bit of a straighter line up here. Okay, I think they look pretty good. In my opinion, I think they look fine. They're not, I guess they're not exactly perfect. And now I'm just gonna fill in. So I'm gonna start filling in the shape here. And what I like to do here is actually not fill in all of the top, just kind of fill in like a triangle of where you've drawn your outline. You see how I don't have a line connecting here to here? I'm not going to fill that part in just yet. I'm going to fill in all the way from here to like here. But then I'm just going to kind of draw a line downward like this here. And that's going to be like, I'm not going to fill that in anywhere past that line, on the top at least. The bottom part is fine to fill in. Even at this point, it's okay if you stretch your eye to fill this part in because you've got an outline. The thing about stretching your eye to do eyeliner and stuff is that it's going to distort your eye. So you might have a shape that looks good on a distorted eye, but you don't want that. You want a shape that looks good in your actual eye. If you do the outline first and then the fill-in later. If the outline is already done, you can just stretch it. It doesn't matter. The outline is finished. As long as you draw within the lines, you're fine. So we're gonna fill in here, just to the line on my lash line. I'm gonna fill this in, here, like this. Okay, I'm gonna draw our line down here. And you can kind of see that I have this kind of odd shape, right? It looks filled in like this. Like this, there's a big gap, right? I have something kind of similar on the other side as well. Or it looks like it's filled in, but there's a gap. So what I like to do now is I kind of bring my eyes close-ish together, but not fully together. And I'm gonna start kind of filling in this gap a little bit, just kind of poking and prodding. And the idea is, if I go very slowly here, by filling in little bits of this gap and then closing my, how do I word it? Filling in little bits of this gap and then doing this and then filling in a little bit more and doing this. I can make sure that I have a wing that looks good at pretty much all angles. And now I'm going to just kind of seal it off like this. So that's sort of it. But now what you can see is this wing looks very, very good from here onward, but it needs to connect more naturally into the rest of the eye. It looks great from like here outward, but it needs a little more thickness up here. So now I'm going to go back over here and I'm gonna add more thickness now to my eyeliner. And that's a good wing. That's a very good wing. And now we'll do the same on the other side. So we'll just kind of close it off with a nice line here. For now, we'll fill in more of the gaps. As we fill, we'll kind of tilt our head a little bit and make sure that all of the, oh, I accidentally got it. That's the hair, it's fine. We want to make sure all these gaps are filled at every angle that my eye could possibly be at. Which means a little bit more up here, a little bit more here, and a little bit of a better tip to make it a little smoother. One of the main issues that I run into, which is my eyes are not the same. This eye has way less lid space than this eye. So even if I were to add more eyeliner on top of this one, you're not going to see it because it's underneath. I don't know if you can see here. It goes underneath here. So it doesn't matter if I put more eyeliner right here. It's literally underneath the fold of my eyelid. So there's really not much I can do here to make these eyes look that much more similar. Although I do notice now, I made this one a little bit too high. I did notice. But it's not the end of the world, to be honest. But I am gonna fill in the lid more anyway, so they look more even. I did take this one a little bit too high, I notice now. But I could adjust it with makeup remover if I really wanted to. I don't think it's the end of the world difference. They are relatively similar. Okay, now, same as with the eyeshadow, eyeliner that just comes off of the upper eye can work sometimes, but personally, I like for it to connect at least a little bit into the lower lash line. This is where I really recommend not liquid eyeliner. Something other than liquid eyeliner. It can be an eyeliner pencil. It can be what I'm going to use, which is like a cream eyeliner. But I just, for this one part, I recommend not liquid liner because it's going to make a mess due to the dimensionality. So I'm going to use a cream one in a pot with a little brush. I'm just going to get it on this. Now if you have a pencil, you can use a pencil here. Doesn't really matter. But the general idea is we don't want our eyeliner to be under-eyed, if that makes sense. We're not going for eyeliner that starts this low and comes up. We're going for eyeliner that kind of starts here. But we're just going to, along the lash line itself, even just stretch it or whatever, and just kind of like hit this lash line with this very kind of gently. And we're just going to kind of connect this part of the eye into it here. You just kind of want to make a nice connection here without making too much of a mess of it, which I've kind of made a bit of a mess of it, to be honest. But it's not the most important part of the eye, so it's okay if I made a little bit of a mess here. We just kind of want it to kind of connect. You can see this one doesn't connect into the lower eye. Now this one does. And we want to extend that liner that's under our eye about 1/3 of the way along. Maybe like 1/3 of the way. The other thing I like to do, if you have like this, if you're using this, or if you have a pencil, is I actually like to kind of wiggle this into the kind of base of my lashes, but not really on the skin. What I kind of want is for my lashes to pick up this product and get a little darker, and maybe just a little bit at the base, just add the smallest amount of a kind of a grayish, lightish like tone. And it's gonna kind of add a lot of intensity to the lower eye that would be missing otherwise. So I'm not trying to do like a full-on like under eye line here. I just want it to look kind of intensified underneath, and you can see the difference, I think, quite clearly with this eye versus this eye. So keep your actual concentrated effort of eyeliner relegated to the outer third here, and the rest just kind of intensify it. And I'll do the same on the other side. Or again, I'm just going to start on the lower part of the eye and go up here like this and kind of connect them. If I have to thicken the lower part of the wing, that is okay, by the way. I can even stretch it a little bit here just to kind of get this gap in here. If this leads to me thickening any part of the wing, it's okay. I ended up having to thicken right down here just a little bit. Although more than I wanted to, but mistakes happen. Drag it along. And then for the rest of it, once you got that inner third again, just kind of grayifying and intensifying the lashes a little bit and getting a little bit of eyeliner. I hope you could even see that, sorry, I just realized. Getting a little bit of it underneath, under the skin, but not like a full-on eyeliner look. Okay, ta-da! Now, once again, this is where I recommend something other than liquid liner, because I just find liquid liner to not be great at this part. I'm going to use this brush again. If you don't have something similar, I probably would recommend, you can try it with liquid liner, but it's going to be a bit of a struggle, I think, to do. So, what I would recommend you do here is not use liquid liner. Okay, I'm going to put more of the product on this little brush. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in the inner corner of my eye here. So I'm going to do like a nice line here. And what I kind of want is like kind of a straight line into the corner of my eye, like this. Like this kind of straight line in. And then I want to turn it into a bit of a triangle right at the end. I want to pull it back. I want to create this like little triangle shape. Like this, right at the corner of my eye. Okay? And I can even thicken up the eyeliner around here. That's kind of what we're trying to create, is this right here. You can see this one doesn't have it. This one has it. And again, just do a little bit of grayifying here, just to make sure it kind of naturally flows outward. I kind of made a bit of a mistake here, but shouldn't be the end of the world. Ta-da! And there you go. That's like the inner corner. So that kind of just sharpens everything up. And we can even, just to make it flow a little more naturally, we can put a little bit more. Like thicken the eyeliner just a little bit more as we approach it. And then there you go. So you have this eye versus like this eye, right? So the inner corner is just a little bit cool, I think. We'll do the same on the other eye now. I just kind of, so I should really be doing this into the camera, but it's kind of hard to look at the mirror. But I'm just kind of slicing in here with like a nice sharp straight line. Once I get in a little bit with it, this one I've kind of fucked up a little bit here, but it's okay. I kind of turned it into a triangle shape, is the idea. This one I definitely didn't do very well, but it's okay. I can kind of correct it a little bit with the Q-tip. Again, yeah, I bring this one in to the corner like that. Again, I'm going to thicken this part of the eyeliner just a little bit so it flows nicer into that corner. And then I'm going to just kind of, again, slightly drag the eyeliner along the lower line just to make sure that it looks like it all flows kind of naturally into the corners and out of the corners. Now this eye, I made a bit of a mistake. You can kind of see I kind of have a bit of a smudged area here. That was just me making a bit of a mistake with the eyeliner, but it happens and it's not big enough to really care. So that will be the eyeshadow now done. The eyeshadow and the eyeliner. You can see that I have these kind of weird wing shapes when I put my eyes down. But the reality is, because I have hooded eyes, this is kind of what I need to do to get a nice wing. If I didn't do this, because I have hooded eyes, my wings aren't gonna look very good here. They're not gonna like make sense very much. Yeah, so this is kind of what you have to do to work around hooded eyes. If you had eyeshadow for this step here, if you just had eyeshadow, this wing would be made of eyeshadow. It would take way less time in my opinion. It just wouldn't look as sharp is all. It would be a little more blurry. But you could make these exact wings out of eyeshadow just as they are right now. I have a little mistake here as well, which I'll try to gently affect with a Q-tip, which is probably not going to happen because, like I said, eyeliner is kind of hard to remove once it goes on. What I can do is I can blur it a little bit like I just did, and then I can take my pink color again and I can kind of go over it a little bit with the pink. Okay. To agree it down, that took quite a bit of time. See, all of it would be quicker if I wasn't talking through it, is the thing. I know it took me like 2.5 hours, really, for all of this. The reality is it's not going to take that long. Most of it is me talking through it, to be honest. The final step would be your mascara and false lashes. You don't have to do false lashes if you've never done them before. You don't have to do them. They are nice, especially if you do a big, bold eyeliner look. It's really nice to have false lashes. Another really nice benefit of false lashes, especially if you get kind of like intense ones, is that if you made a little bit of a mistake around here, the false lash will kind of cover, if you've made like a little bit of a mistake here, it's gonna kind of cover it. So they can be really nice for that. They'll make the wings look a little bit easier. What I actually have started using for my false lashes, I got this glue for them, and it's black. It's a black colored eyelash glue. So I like it for a couple reasons because it, well, one second actually. I'm gonna setting spray before I forget. One of the reasons that I like the black glue is because if my eyeliner is like not fully there, like it's a little bit off, it's very obviously weird when you have your like eyelashes on if there's kind of a gap where there's no black. Also, the eyelashes are black, so putting black glue on them just kind of makes them blend into the, you know, they just kind of blend a little bit better. What we're gonna do next though, before we do false lashes, is I'm gonna use my little lash curler here. And I'm going to curl my lashes and put mascara on. Now, you don't always need to do this if you're going to do false lashes. It really depends. But I'm going to do the look without false lashes, and then we'll add false lashes after. So if you don't want to do false lashes, I'll do the mascara, and I'll show you the mascara part as well. So. The idea is you kind of put your lashes in, you pinch them upwards, you curl them up, hold it for maybe like 5 seconds, let go, do it again, a little bit further out, so start very close, then do a little further, for 5 seconds, let go, and then go further out again, and do it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let go, and then they curl. Lash curlers scary, makes sense, but they're really not that scary. Like they really aren't bad, I promise. And they're so nice, like they really are a big help. I promise you, curled lashes look infinitely better. I promise you that. I promise you that they look really good. Okay, so we curl our lashes up and we grab our mascara. I don't really have a recommendation for mascara products. Again, I use Anastasia. It's just a black one, okay? But all you want to do with your mascara is kind of put it under, and then once you start putting it on, wiggle it. Wiggle it as you go up. You just don't want it to be clumpy. That's all you don't want. So you want to wiggle it as you go up, just to make sure that it doesn't all clump up on one like lash or something. So, wiggle. 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 Okay? Then, if you want to, personally, I don't love to put too much mascara on my lower lashes, but I will just put it on the outer, like 1/3, where I already did the eyeliner. Oh, I made a bit of a mistake there. Where I did the eyeliner here, I'm gonna also put mascara on those lashes. Just so they kind of pop a little more as well. Alright, and that would be the look with mascara. That would be it with mascara. But we're gonna do the false lashes, finally. Best advice for false lashes is get tweezers, because they're way more precise than your fingers. You're gonna wanna get the glue on it, and you're gonna wanna basically coat this little band right at the bottom here. It's kind of hard to see. This little band at the bottom, you're gonna wanna coat that in the glue. Just coat it completely. Yeah, just cover it in glue. Yeah. It's kind of hard for me to see the way I have it set up here, so 1 second. Then give it, not that long, but give it a little bit. Don't just slap it on immediately. I like to wave it around in my hand for like a couple seconds, just so it dries a little bit. Doesn't need to be like super dry, obviously then it won't stick, but you don't want it to be like that wet, because if it's wet, it'll slide, and that's not good. Then I use my little tweezers. I usually use my fingers first and then tweezers second. What I like to do, obviously, is you have a little inner corner here. That inner corner should match up with the part of your eye where you kind of stop growing lashes. So like, kind of hard to show, but like around here is where it should end up sort of going. Then you're gonna want to, oops. Oh, I made a big mistake there, but it's okay. Those are so nice. I just got them on Amazon. I just searched e-girl lashes. They are, in my opinion, not the best false lashes I've had. However, they are dirt cheap and come in a pack of like 20. And there we go. What I like to do is, once I put it on, I stick in the inner corner first. This is the area that always gives me the most trouble. So I always try to focus on getting it done. Then I kind of move out and I stick down the other area. And if you get both the inner and outer corner of your lashes done, then the rest should kind of fall into place pretty easily. So this is no false lashes with the false lashes. Another thing I like to do personally is kind of push them up and kind of, I kind of tilt my eyes down and kind of push them up a little bit, just to make sure that they're pointing the right way. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's a little thing I do. I don't think there's any logic behind it, but for some reason I think it helps. Final lash, and then we'd be completely done. Or that you can't see this part, I'm just coating it with, all I'm doing is coating it with glue. It's pretty hard to show this part, unfortunately, on the stream. But yeah, we're just coating it all with glue. Just making sure it's got a nice solid coat of it, all along the band. Then, like I said, just, how many times can you reuse the same lash? Generally speaking, 5 to 25 times, depending on how nice you are to the lash. If you put it on, wear it at home, take it off very gently, set it somewhere nice, put it back in a box or whatever, doesn't get dust on it, doesn't get dirty, then you can reuse it a lot. If you're wearing a lot of eyeshadow, which is what happens to me a lot, usually what happens is after the first 2, 3, or 4 times of using the lash, the band for me is coated. It's absolutely coated in eyeshadow that was on me before, because when I pull it off, the glue is taking a bunch of eyeshadow with it, then I'm putting glue on top of the eyeshadow, and then I'm pulling it off, and then I'm putting glue. So I have this layer of glue, eyeshadow, glue, eyeshadow, glue, eyeshadow. And by the end of like 4 or 5 uses, it's like coated in, like, it's got this big thick area just kind of popping off of it. So that can be one of the things that impacts it. Even if you take good care of your lashes, that can affect it. 1 second here, let me just focus on this. Okay, and it went on pretty nicely. And there we go. Finished. I know it took me quite a while, like pretty much 3 hours for everything. I think the eyes took me like twice as long as everything else combined. For people that have seen me do my eyeshadow on stream before, if this is like your first time seeing me, I promise you, it doesn't take this long, like any time other than like the first time that you're really trying to nail it. I promise it doesn't normally take this long, especially if you're doing a look you've done consistently. Personally, I'm not very good at eyeliner. I'm much better at eyeshadow than I am at eyeliner, so that's gonna slow me down a little bit. If you use the tape trick, like I mentioned before, what you would just want to do, of course, is you would want to have your tape on your face here, like, you want to have tape on, right? But if you had tape like here, exactly where I have these lines that I've drawn my eyeshadow in, like if I had tape right here, like this, remember, all I would have to do is brush the eyeshadow that I use. All I would do is brush it into the tape. I would just go like this, right into it, and it would get a great shape. It wouldn't blend wrongly. It would just go like this. And I could do this so quickly, right? Because it's not possible to make a mistake. So I highly recommend tape as a trick for new people. Because look, you can see I have a bunch of like, let's say I just go like this, like crazy, right? And I get a bunch of eyeshadow all over this here. But once I take it off, it's just stuck on this. It's not on my face, right? And I get these nice wings. I could do that on both sides, obviously, right? Like I've had the same line here, you know, like this. I would just draw the same line that I've like already done. Basically, I would just put it done like this here or something. And then again, I would just brush in here, and this would save me so much time because I'm gonna get the exact same shape that I currently already have, but it would just be like that easy. Like I said, the only downside to using tape instead of the way that I did it is these lines are going to be solid. They are going to be sharp, solid lines. For me, they're not sharp or solid lines. They're little blended lines. In my opinion, it can look a lot nicer to do it this way. There's not necessarily a better way to do it, but there is an easier way to do it. And the easier way to do it is to just use tape and not overthink it. And then what you can do at the very end, of course, is you can get like some concealer on your hand, on your brush or whatever. Put some concealer, and then just kind of brush the concealer into the eyeliner. Not the eyeliner, sorry, don't do the eyeliner. Brush some concealer up into the wing. And what that'll allow you to do is like really define that eyeshadow wing by creating like a nice contrast with the concealer here. You can just do that, like kind of go with the concealer here. I'm going to do that just as a little final touch, but you don't really, this is all, again, all optional. And I did get a little bit of a mess here. I made a little bit of an error. It's kind of smudged here. Again, no one's gonna notice except for like, firstly, no one's gonna notice, and anyone that notices is not going to care. So that's basically everything. And then we let our heart on. And we are gorgeous. We are beautiful. Ta-da! Now, again, if this is like your first time and you're really trying to do makeup, if you remember when I was doing my makeup at the very beginning, when I was just starting, if you've really sat through the whole thing, what you'll remember is there was a certain point where I had my face done, no eyeshadow, no eyeliner, nothing like that, and I just looked like me, but prettier. And I didn't even look like I had makeup on. And it wasn't that transformative, but it was like, you know, it was still me and pretty. That is, you can do that. You don't need to do the fucking big ass wings and the big ass eyeshadow. You don't need to do those things. You can just do the face, do some mascara, and call it a day. Like literally just do mascara and brows. Like do the face, brows, mascara, skip the eyeliner, skip the eyeshadow, don't care, doesn't take, it's easy to fuck up, takes a long time, you know, and just skip it and you're just gonna look like you but prettier, you know? Stuff like this, especially if you're really just starting to learn, you're gonna fuck it up. That's something that is important to remember. If you're starting to learn makeup, let me put you in front of me. If you're starting to learn makeup, you will fuck it up. You're going to make a mistake. You're not gonna nail it on your first try. You might nail it on your first try if you spend 3 hours in deep concentration about it, but chances are you're gonna make mistakes. The important part is that you allow yourself to make mistakes and you don't let mistakes stop you from practicing. The reality is that nobody gets to be good at something without making a lot of mistakes along the way. You don't go for, nobody just starts something and is a pro, you know? Yeah, it took me, you know, I've been doing this for a year, and like I said, after a year of doing my makeup fairly consistently and pretty high effort too, I still don't really know, like, I got my eyeliner to look great today, but I don't really feel that confident with eyeliner. Like, I'm not, you know, the reason I took so long on it is because it's hard. I find it hard, personally. My blush, which I did a lot earlier, if you remember I said when I was doing my blush, I don't really know what I'm doing with blush. I still don't really get it, personally. Like, I don't really understand blush, either. Contouring my nose, I'm not that great at it. It looks pretty good today, but I don't always nail it, still. I've been doing it a year, and I make mistakes frequently. but I got better at it, you know? I've come a long way. So, yeah. And there's always, always, always more to learn, because again, I really, really think, like, and I get the fear as a trans woman as well, like, because I had that fear when I was early transition, like, hardcore. I don't want to look like a drag queen. I don't look like a guy I don't want to look like a guy in, you know, in drag. I really don't want to look like a drag queen. I was so afraid of that. I was so afraid of that. But, like, there's so much to be learned from the queens, okay? We have so much in common with that community. Like, we're all fucking queers. We're all gays, okay? We're all, you know, we have so much in common, and there's so much to learn. Those girls are so good at makeup. They're so good. They have so many good tips. And the thing that is so amazing is how they can totally revolutionize their entire face, their entire look. They can look like an entirely different person with just the power of makeup. So the sky is the limit for what you can do with it. Really, I promise. Like, the sky is honestly the limit. If you practice with makeup, you can do whatever you want. You can change your nose shape. You can make your lips twice as big. You know, you can make your eyes look 3 times bigger. You can make your eyes look 3 times wider or brighter. You can sharpen your eyes. You can pinch them in with a lot of, you know, you can just make them look super intense. You can shave your brows off and draw on whatever fucking expression you want on your face. You can have rosy cheeks. You can have a sharp face. You can have a round face. Like, and the important part is, like, learning on your own face what you like as well. That's also important, right? Because when I started, I was just going through the motion. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I didn't know what looked good. How was I meant to know? If I'd never done it before, how am I meant to know what looks good on me? Over time, what I've realized is, the more and more I've done it, is I've thought of things like, oh, you know, when I create too much angularness in my face, I don't like it. It makes me feel more masculine. When I make a bunch of, like, sharp angles, it makes me dysphoric. So when I do my blush, when I do contour my face, I don't want to create sharp angles, because every time I've done that, I don't like it. When I do my brows, I'll be like, oh, I did a arched brow, but I didn't like it. And I did a straight brow, and I liked it. So I guess I'll just do straight brows. And you figure that stuff out, and you experiment, you make mistakes, you learn from your mistakes, and then eventually you reach a point where you go, I know what I like, and I know what I like, and I know what I look good in. And you can always learn new things too, you know? The first time I did makeup, I didn't ever bother with eyeshadow. Now I do. Eyeshadow is my, like, core thing, I would say, personally. And I skipped doing eyeliner for, like, a year. I took, like, a year off of eyeliner simply because every time I did it, I kept making myself more dysphoric afterwards. I would do eyeliner, and then I would be like, I actually feel more dysphoric having done this than I did without it. Now I can do eyeliner and feel beautiful. I didn't do my lips for the longest time, right? I didn't even do lip gloss. Now I do my lips. Yeah, there's a lot you can do, I promise. There's really so much you can do. And yeah, it's just practice, you know? So I really hope if you watch the whole thing, you, like, learned a lot, I guess, from it, you know? It's also nice for me to just do my makeup, I guess. Now I feel pretty, so I get a lot out of it, you know? I get to look pretty out of it, which is nice. I look gorgeous right now. Wow, how is she so pretty?